Earth Football, Cristiano Ronaldo thought I would go assist him. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 251, Brazilian Players You'd Never Guess Who They Are Just by Their Names, series. Drogba was very impressed with Sporting Lisbon. Firstly, Didier Deschamps had just transferred from Chelsea to Sporting Lisbon. Drogba, with dual Ivorian and French citizenship and playing in France, was very familiar with everyone on the French team. Secondly, Drogba found the assistant to Mr. Trigura, who spoke to him in French, to be very agreeable. The assistant was polite and understood the concerns of young players. He directly told Drogba that the style of football best suited him. They wouldn't let Drogba showcase his superior technical skills, they would find ways to utilize his strengths. The assistant sent Drogba highlights of Moreirense matches. Drogba particularly liked the style of play of Moreirense's center forward, Anderson. Drogba even felt he could do it much better than Anderson. If the coach himself likes and uses a center forward like Drogba, then Drogba's playing time and tactical importance in the team are naturally guaranteed. No one wants to abandon what they are good at and adapt to a new style of play. In Guingamp, it seemed they wanted to mold Drogba into a player similar to Trezeguet, but Drogba felt he could do more than Trezeguet. Finally, the assistant told Drogba, "I know you have children, so I applied for extra housing subsidies from the club for you. You can bring them over, the pressure won't be too great. Or you can send the money back so they can live a better life. I think the latter is better, after all, your children are still young. And I believe that with your ability, you can bring them to your side in 2 or 3 years, no matter where you play." This gave Drogba tremendous encouragement. Of course, the assistant coach also reminded Drogba to eat less junk food to avoid failing the team's entry test. This was definitely the best person Drogba had encountered besides his uncle Michel. Maxa looked at these transactions, terrified and unable to breathe. Barzagli for 100,000, you want 200,000. Drogba for 200,000, you want 400,000. The key is that even at the former price, neither might be worth it. What do you mean? Bottom fishing? All-in? Stock hedging? You should at least target players who are recognized as having the potential to make it in the youth academy, right? By the way, any feedback from the South American scouts? Deng Kai suddenly remembered that the club had some informants in South America. However, it was a cooperative arrangement, not an exclusive one. Yes, they said they brought over a group of young players, who are currently undergoing trials everywhere, Trigura said. I looked at their basic stats and some videos, and they don't seem particularly good. Oh, and this is a newcomer that Corinthians is heavily promoting, this Gutierrez. They're asking for 400,000 euros. Deng Kai glanced at him, not recognizing him. Maxa said worriedly, I heard that player ownership in South America is very chaotic, and the asking prices are often very complicated. Based on Gutierrez's performance, 400,000 is a fair price, but I'm afraid the final price might be 700,000 or 800,000. Trigura nodded, that was very likely. In the early days, many teams only acquired half ownership of South American players, which led to many disputes and lawsuits. But they also said that if we buy Gutierrez, they can give us 2 more players for a package deal of 100,000 euros. One is Kepler Lavalin Lima Ferreira, damn, that's a hard name to remember, and the other. Maxa loved to take advantage of these kinds of small deals. When he used to be the team's cleaner, he always managed to save some money on toilet cleaner through buy 2 get 1 free offers, then secretly pocketed it. Who? Deng Kai suddenly stopped talking on the phone. Gutierrez? Maxa was startled. Deng Kai shook his head, no, next one. Maxa, toilet cleaner, buy 2 get 1 free, oh, no, Kepler Lavalin. Deng Kai immediately nodded, that's him. We want him. Maxa was stunned, huh? This, buy 1 get 2 free, you want him too? Deng Kai shook his head again, no, we can't do it like that. We have to be careful when doing business with South Americans. Like this, tell them we want Gutierrez, but the 2 players are given to us as a gift, we won't spend a penny. Also, we need to make sure they're completely given to us. We need to check the ownership of those two players. Maxa looked troubled, but if we check Gutierrez's ownership, the price probably won't be this high. There's something wrong with this deal, otherwise it wouldn't be our turn. Deng Kai laughed. Who said to check Gutierrez? If they had something to hide, when we asked the first time, they would only give us the ownership information for the two players they were giving away. Once we confirm that Kepler-Lavallin's ownership is correct, we can complete the deal. If there are problems with the Gutierrez deal, we can sell part of his ownership. They should be able to get back 250,000. Maxa was speechless. So, in the end, we lose 150,000? Deng Kai pointed to the name written in the notebook and said, "Your math is good, but aren't there two other players?" Maxa was anxious. What use are players that others don't want? Are these two really valuable? Deng Kai looked at Trigura and said, "Maybe they'll be the ironclad defenders of the Portuguese national team for the next 15 years? Trigura nodded in agreement, but was a little doubtful. "You've never been to South America. How can you be so confident in this player?" Deng Kai evaded the question. "Last year, didn't my personal foundation sponsor the Argentine player Messi? Later, I had a conflict with the Argentinians, and they used all sorts of young Argentine players to outshine me. The Brazilians also took the opportunity to launch a wave of talent selection for young players. I've seen this player's highlights. He's very fierce, mentally strong, extremely aggressive, and has talent in defense and passing. He can definitely make it. He's really strong, probably much stronger than Font. If I'm guilty, let the law judge me, but why are you humiliating me with readers' ridicule? Just because I played in the Chinese Super League? Holy crap, suddenly the logic makes sense. I don't seem to be innocent after all." Soon, the person in charge from South America who brought a group of young players to scam completed the deal with Sporting Lisbon. They originally planned to scam the Madeira FC Martimer, taking advantage of their ignorance and small club, thinking there wouldn't be any trouble if things went wrong. Unexpectedly, a complete idiot took the bait. This idiot was very happily completing this buy one get two free 3-player deal centered around Gutierrez. Chapter 252 Birds of a feather flock together. The big fool was very cautious, verifying the ownership of the two bundle players. Perhaps they thought that since even the bundled players had complete documentation, the actual players they bought wouldn't have any problems. But actually, the big fool, Sporting Lisbon, only bought half of Gutierrez's ownership. This wasn't just a previous scam, it was a chain reaction. Once you're in the trap, you'll be continuously extorted, just like a telecom fraud. A few days after the deal was completed, this person in charge proactively approached Sporting Lisbon, panicked, and told Sporting Lisbon's powerful head coach, Mr. Trigura, about the news. Trigura was also panicked, asking what to do. Without full ownership, Gutierrez couldn't be registered in the Portuguese league, and the money would be wasted. This person in charge offered Trigura a solution. Either spend another 500,000 to buy the other half of the ownership, or sell back the half that had just been bought, with him taking a loss. However, because there were two players in the bundle deal, the half of Gutierrez's ownership certainly couldn't be sold for 400,000 euros. It's impossible to expect our South American brothers to give you two players for free. So, after some haggling, Sporting Lisbon ultimately received 300,000 euros, 50,000 euros more than initially expected. The person in charge was really shrewd, wanting to do long-term business with a fool like Sporting Lisbon. He only charged cost price, agreeing to continue the cooperation next year. Two 17 or 18-year-old players for 100,000 euros seems like a fire sale. But in reality, at that price, you could buy far better players of the same age in South America. Overall, it was a deal that satisfied both sides. But the prerequisite was that Sporting Lisbon put on a show. Otherwise, if the other party knew which player Sporting Lisbon actually preferred, they would definitely raise the price. Never overestimate the base instincts of human nature, especially in business. After the deal was finalized, the other party simply left the players with Sporting Lisbon. Pepe, you two will be following Sporting Lisbon's arrangements from now on, understand? Play well, you'll have a bright future. With that, the person in charge left without looking back. Clearly, he didn't care about the two kids. Pepe? Maxa looked at the young player with a fierce expression, somewhat like a dark version of Sun Wukong. Kepler-Lavalin Lima Ferreira is. It's me. Because my name is too long, everyone usually calls me Pepe. The curly-haired, dark-skinned Sun Wukong looked at Maxa with an innocent smile. Maxa was so frightened he backed away. He looks too fierce. So menacing. It's a pity this kid plays football, he should train in boxing. After the transaction was completed, Maxa notified Deng Kai. Deng Kai immediately rushed to the training base. Because the two players were of different ages, with Pepe being older, the younger one was taken to the U19 team by Maxa and lived in the player dormitory. As for Pepe, Deng Kai personally took him to the first-team dormitory. Since there were no first-team members yet, Pepe was essentially living alone. The Alcochete training ground is Sporting Lisbon's main training base. We usually train here. The first team's pitch is over there. After putting their things away, Deng Kai led Pepe around the area. This is the gym. There's a lot of equipment for strength training. But it's best to do it under guidance, because improper strength training can easily cause subtle muscle damage, and that's how some injuries happen. Don't think that we young guys are insignificant because of minor injuries. Almost every major injury significantly reduces a player's potential and future achievements. Pepe nodded repeatedly. Although this guy was shorter and younger than him, he seemed very knowledgeable. An assistant coach Maxa listened to Deng Kai a lot. After all, Maxa was the first team's chief assistant coach. Sometimes Pepe even wondered if Deng Kai was the head coach. Is anyone still training? Pepe looked at the training field and saw a player practicing dribbling. Cristiano Ronaldo, Sporting Lisbon's second-ranked youth academy prodigy, is more commonly known as Cristiano Ronaldo. Last season, he and the club's top-ranked youth academy prodigy led Moreirense to the Portuguese First Division title, securing promotion to the Super League. Deng Kai declared righteously. Wow! That's amazing! And what's the number one ranked one? What's his name? Pepe exclaimed in shock. He looks so young and has already won a professional league title? Let alone the Portuguese First Division. Even in the Portuguese Second Division or Italian Serie D, professional leagues and youth leagues are completely different. His name is Deng Kai. Deng Kai finished speaking and gestured for Pepe to go and greet Ronaldo. What a coincidence. Same name as you, Kai? Pepe caught up. Deng Kai frowned. He seemed to have found the reason why Pepe and Ronaldo got along so well. Birds of a feather flock together. Ronaldo and Pepe, a perfect match. They both seem to be missing something in their heads. Young people, communicating isn't that difficult. Besides, they both play football. Crucially, Ronaldo and Duncan are frequenting the training ground, making it difficult for Pepe to remain unfamiliar with them. This familiarity, however, has exposed some issues. Pepe has poor emotional control. Ronaldo, on the other hand, often boasts about his faster and stronger stats during training. He's particularly pleased with Pepe's defensive prowess. Against Duncan, Ronaldo never experiences the thrill of dribbling past him. Either Duncan is outmaneuvered at lightning speed, or Duncan dismantles his ball with lightning speed. There's no real struggle or duel. Pepe, however, is different. Primarily a defensive midfielder, Pepe possesses excellent defensive skills and a stronger physique. His one-on-one duels with Ronaldo put immense pressure on him. It's difficult, but Ronaldo experiences growth through this challenge. However, neither of them has a good temper. Sometimes, they'll even get into a fight. The key is that after the fight, they can continue playing the next day. Often, Ronaldo's simple question, "Want to have a match?" will trigger Pepe's charge. Yet, there's a subtle balance between them. Cristiano Ronaldo wins more often than he loses in training, allowing him to humiliate Pepe. But when Pepe fights, he clearly has the upper hand, venting his frustration without holding back. You can't beat me at kicking. You can't beat me in a fight. Both feel they're the winners in this relationship, naturally tolerating each other a little more in other aspects. How could they not get along? The length of their friendship depends entirely on when Ronaldo breaks Pepe's ankle or when Pepe breaks Ronaldo's ribs. Chapter 253. This player never tries out. In early August, Sporting Lisbon completed another major transfer. This deal initially baffled many, as the player's behavior at Arsenal was exposed by The Sun after the transaction was finalized. Headlines included, Wenger's offer rejected. Swedish prodigy's London day trip, and Arsenal sporting director, this is absolutely outrageous. I've never seen such an arrogant kid. He's completely naive. Who does he think he is? God? Soon after, Wenger, who hadn't had a break all summer, gave an interview about the player, expressing his frustration. I had never met this player before. Someone told me he was excellent, so I responsibly brought him to Arsenal. But I'm sorry to say, I didn't see anything special in him, except for his towering height of over 1.9 meters. He seemed exceptionally talented, but that was just an appearance. Because when I asked him to have a trial with our first team for a while, he directly refused. I forgive his recklessness. After all, he's just a kid, and I can't ruin his future. So until he achieves results, I won't make his statement public, otherwise, it would be devastating for him. The reporter pressed further, what are your thoughts on his move to Sporting Lisbon? Wenger, I'm also curious, because in my opinion, it wasn't a wise choice. Sporting Lisbon is certainly better than his original club, Mama, but the turbulent Sporting Lisbon is clearly not as good as Ajax, who are also interested in acquiring him. After all, he's adapted to Dutch football. What if he doesn't adapt to a new adventure in Portugal? When asked the same question, Sporting Lisbon's Trigella responded, that's probably why Sporting Lisbon got him, but Arsenal didn't. We told him there's a new adventure waiting for him. The same old games are meaningless for him, he won't learn much more in the Eredivisie, but he can in the Portuguese league. We know his favorite player is Ronaldo, and coincidentally, we have a Cristiano Ronaldo on our team. Although he's far from being the real Ronaldo, he's the alien among his peers. Finally, we also know this player is very fond of boxing, and we have many players from China here, all of whom can grow flowers on an empty stomach. That's a huge attraction for him. Wenger then responded indirectly, I've heard of Trigella, he's an excellent youth coach. And Maxija, a famous tactical mastermind in the Portuguese league. But they spoil their players too much, those kinds of players need to be trained. Trigella also replied indirectly, the professor is good at teaching well-behaved kids because they have good resources, all the kids are pruned before they even enter Arsenal. But Sporting Lisbon is better at developing players with personality. We firmly believe that personality is one of the manifestations of a star player's technical style and on-field thinking, and we hope to see more players with different personalities join us. Reporter, but I heard that player hesitated for a long time before? Trigera said, yes, after all, Ajax promised him a guaranteed starting position. Reporter, so how did you finally convince him? Trigera, my assistant called him and told him that if he was willing to join us, he could just come directly, and he wouldn't encounter anything like what he experienced at Arsenal. Because we know that Zlatan never needs any trials. Headlines like Sporting Lisbon's second major summer signing, €3 million acquisition of Swedish giant Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Trigera snatches a player from Arsenal's mouth. Ajax loses a future striker, this Ibrahimovic is no simpleton. These official announcements ignited the entire Portuguese football scene. Because no one knew what Sporting Lisbon's series of signings this season really meant, there wasn't much praise, but rather a lot of skepticism. Barzagli, I'm laughing. This is garbage pulled from Serie D. No, it's from the Italian Regional League, not even a professional league. Sporting Lisbon is hoping this guy can be a good defender, they'd be better off hoping he can become an Italian international. Drogba? He doesn't look very bright. You say he's a boxer, I'll believe you, but a player? Playing football with his fists? Even La Ma fans in Ligue 2 are complaining about his low goal-scoring efficiency. Giving Jardel a substitute like this, are they trying to work him to death? This John Terry is supposedly pretty good, he's Chelsea's youth academy captain. But honestly, players from the Premier League are too technically rough. We'd be better off buying more Erences Karab. Ibrahimovic, the guy even the professor rejected, but he looks more like a mentally challenged idiot. No trial? Why would they take you? Do you think you're Duncan? Able to reject so many trial offers? Duncan has assets, what do you have besides height? Height, isn't that enough? The Ibrahimovic deal is more like Sporting Lisbon competing with Ajax. Ajax took away Kilip, whom Sporting Lisbon wanted, and Sporting Lisbon snatched Ibrahimovic, whom Ajax wanted. Kepler, never mind, let's just call him Pepe according to his profile. I heard he was a player sent over by someone else, practically worthless, the team made a mistake. Really? But it's true, with Metos, Deschamps, and Paulo Bento, the team doesn't need a defensive midfielder at all. Actually, Matthias isn't good enough either, otherwise Bayern would have won the Champions League long ago. And Germany's group stage exit is Matthias's fault, he's completely incapable of shouldering the responsibility of being the core player. Deschamps is also worthless, hiding behind Zidane to get to the World Cup and European Championship, but his ability is really just so-so. I estimate he's even weaker than Guardiola, not even a top-tier defensive midfielder. I admit Deschamps is weak, but can we please not drag Guardiola into this? He's a good player. Upstairs, your idea is weird? A scientist who loves possession football running a restaurant and eating melons? Well, I'll stay anonymous. Hey, Sporting Lisbon has been working hard all summer, and this is it? Looking closely, there's not a single player who can actually play. Yet. Except for Jardel, they're all trash. Isn't there a Quaresma? Hell, just a flop. All of Sporting Lisbon's young players are flops. Look at how much Semedo struggled at Barcelona, he simply doesn't have the ability. Quaresma is just an unwanted commodity, otherwise Sporting Lisbon would have bought him already. They just didn't want to be ripped off. Viana is even worse, a level below Quaresma. He couldn't even fully adapt to the Portuguese league last season, and even if he does this season, he's not going to shine much. Chapter 254 Conan of Lisbon. Deng Kai and Ronaldo are too young, Schmeichel is too old. João Pinto and Quaimeo only know how to bend their bows and shit eagles. For true heroes, watch the Premier League. Damn. Another Premier League fan? It's just the third best league in Europe, what's with the arrogance? Even Manchester United won the Champions League thanks to our coach Kai, didn't they? According to you, then the heroes of the world will come from our Portuguese league. The fans chattered amongst themselves. A pleasant summer slipped away in an atmosphere where no one was discussing font. Time passed, and it was time for the team's preseason training camps. Alcatraz training base. Brother Kai. Hello, Brother Kai. Brother Kai's here. Thank you, Brother Kai. As Deng Kai walked past a U19 training field, Wu Zedong and the others kept greeting him. Deng Kai responded warmly. One of the new faces specifically came over to thank Deng Kai. It was Chen Tao. The one from Sichuan Kwangsing's youth training program who wanted to come to Europe last year but was sidelined by the club. After a year-long legal battle, with the support of the foundation established by Deng Kai, Chen Tao finally succeeded in terminating his contract and joined Sporting Lisbon as a member of the U19 team. The current Sporting Lisbon U19 team has a very high proportion of Chinese players: Wu Zedong, Yu Shihao, Hao Jinmin, Chen Tao, and Xiao Jiaoyi. Due to their outstanding performance last season, most of them are key players for the team. Of course, Deng Kai's old teammate, Veloso, is also on the team. Trigura specifically spoke with Veloso, indicating there's a chance he will be called up to train with the first team after the season starts. Whether he'll actually get playing time depends on the form of these veterans. If Mathos, Deschamps, and Bento are all in good form, Veloso will only get training time. Even so, Veloso was so happy he couldn't sleep for several days. He shared the news with his father, and the two of them cried together. Not long ago, Veloso was dismissed from Benfica's youth academy for the insulting reason of being overweight. And now, he even has a chance to join the first team. Kai is awesome. Long live Trigura. What? Maxa? Hell, Veloso has seen Maxa serving alongside Deng Kai before. Outsiders might not know, but he certainly does. However, this U19 team also has some talented players jumping in, just like Deng Kai and Ronaldo skipped grades back then. This time, it's Moutinho who skipped grades. That little guy who was half a year younger than Deng Kai at the Diamond Generation Invitational Tournament, one of the future core midfielders of the Portuguese national team. And that young Brazilian centre-back who came along with Pepe as part of a buy one, get two free deal. His name is too long to remember, since he's black, let's just call him Friday. This Sporting Lisbon U19 team will not only play in the Youth League this year but also participate in the UEFA Youth League. This is their chance to prove themselves, and even more so, a chance to prove Chinese talent to European football. After a series of inspections, Deng Kai and Ronaldo arrived at the first team training ground. Most of the young players were there: Pepe, Barzagli, Drogba, Ibrahimovic, and Terry. Pepe ran over, as if she had found a group. Human beings' tendency to be part of a group isn't apparent when alone, but it becomes immediately apparent when there are many people. It's instinctive to gather around familiar faces, it makes you feel safe and natural. Deng Kai led Ronaldo and Pepe towards Barzagli, asking in Italian, "How are you doing here? It was my mother's birthday the day you arrived, so I couldn't get away and had to have a club staff member pick you up. Is everything going smoothly? Barzagli frowned. To be honest, that voice sounded familiar. Who are you? Barzagli asked tentatively. I called you. Deng Kai revealed himself. Oh. This. Wow, good heavens. Barzagli was overjoyed. This was completely unexpected. Who could have imagined it? Really, I guarantee no one would have guessed. You're so successful. Barzagli kept praising Deng Kai. Pepe inwardly looked down on this humble man from the Apennine Peninsula. Too obsequious. You can't just flatter someone because Kai shares the same name as the team's #1 talent, can you? Ronaldo, he's really not my friend, Kai, let me explain. Welcome to the team. You're a key player in my eyes. Deng Kai was also very excited. After all, Barzagli was a player he had personally recruited. This sense of involvement was something that puppets without transfer power couldn't understand. Achoo! Maxa felt like someone was insulting him. Thank you for your encouragement. Barzagli solemnly shook hands with Deng Kai and added, absolutely no one would have guessed that Mr. Tridger's assistant was a ball boy. Deng Kai's smile froze. Was this an insult? Pepe was stunned. How could this not be? PFFT. Ronaldo burst out laughing and clapped continuously. Brilliant. Truly brilliant. Did I misspoke? Barzagli quickly corrected him. Please don't misunderstand. I meant that you look young, yet you've accomplished so much, playing such a crucial role in a club's major transfer dealings. This reminds me of a famous hero and his epic biography. Deng Kai's smile softened. If the team were always filled with players like Ronaldo and Pepe who aren't very bright, he'd really have a headache. Especially in defense, which often requires great wisdom. That's why many center-backs are becoming increasingly cunning. Who? Marlon Brando's The Godfather? Or is Hugh Liang from Romance of the Three Kingdoms? Or perhaps the wise Socrates? Or Prometheus, the light of humanity? To be honest, Deng Kai doesn't usually indulge in praise. But occasionally, it's quite enjoyable. After all, no one can truly understand just how perfect his transfer dealings this summer were. Barzagli laughed. It's a story from the East, a household name. I've loved reading it since I was a child. Deng Kai nodded, seemingly having a better grasp of the situation. The Buddha in Journey to the West manipulated European powers with ease, turning the world upside down with a flick of his wrist. Detective Conan. Barzagli was clearly getting excited. You're exactly like Conan, hidden in the shadow of Kogoro Mori's brilliance. Actually, everything is inseparable from your schemes, you are the true sage. Many people compare Kogoro Mori and Conan, but in my opinion, there's no need for comparison. Because the wise appreciate, the foolish compare. Deng Kai was going crazy. Hey, Maxa, come here for a second. Remember this substitute's name. Make him a substitute for life. After socializing with Barzagli, Deng Kai led a slightly larger group towards Drogba. Drogba recognized Deng Kai's voice. He was surprised that his transfer was related to other players on the team. Was this Deng Kai the son that Coach Trigger and Maxa had discussed? What Drogba didn't know was that he was heading in the right direction, but his relationships were wrong. Duncan and Trigger were both mentor and friend, and Duncan was also Maxi's father, his great father. Then Duncan led the team towards Terry, exchanging a few pleasantries and mentioning that the Portuguese climate was more comfortable than England's, and that Terry could enjoy it. Terry nodded subtly. He wasn't quite sure of Duncan's role in the team. He seemed like a service worker. But, assistant coach Maxi seemed to have been watching them closely. Chapter 255 God has no eyesight. If Terry is a lone wolf because he's solitary, then Ibrahimovic is a lone wolf, a loner. Ibrahimovic is the only player Duncan has ever chatted with for less than 2 minutes. Even the socially adept Duncan couldn't have a pleasant conversation with Ibrahimovic. In some ways, Ibrahimovic is similar to Ronaldo in this respect. Pride is the protective shield. The difference is that Ronaldo's protection is defensive, he'll remain relatively silent until you attack him. Ibrahimovic, on the other hand, is aggressively defensive, using exaggerated, even arrogant, language and attitude to protect himself, using offense as defense. This approach is very effective against players of similar age or skill. Therefore, in the same environment, Ibrahimovic thrives more than Ronaldo. His arrogance is seen as part of his ability, thus gaining him a large following. However, if you're in an environment with people much stronger and of much higher status than you, Ronaldo might be ostracized and neglected, but Ibrahimovic will definitely be dealt with by those in higher positions. Sure enough, as training time arrived, the team's bigwigs all came to the training ground. They almost all arrived with Terry, Viana, Quaresma, winger Calameu, midfielder Barbosa, backup goalkeeper Nuno Santos, and the central defensive duo Marcos and Facundo walked together. They came out first. These were all veterans of the team, having faced off against Duncan and Ronaldo last season. João Pinto, Paulo Bento, Schmeichel, Deschamps, Matos, and Trigueira came out last, chatting and laughing. They were all older and renowned players. Matos was undoubtedly the centerpiece, far more prominent than Trigueira. Mr. Maxa. Matos greeted Maxa. Without Maxa, this tactical genius, Matos might truly have been above the rest of the team. That's what a superstar is. You can't treat them like ordinary players. With a superstar, you either treat them as friends or as fathers, there's no third option. Many coaches struggle with player relationships because they can't let go of their ego. This was a game of strategy, a true test of emotional intelligence. After brief self-introductions, the team's training began. The first day focused on basic recovery exercises. Thanks to Deng Kai's reminder and the short rest period after the European Championship, the new signings were in good form. The veteran players, given the significant generational changes this year, were also very mindful of their condition. Therefore, the team's early training went smoothly. However, new players always need time to gel. Different perspectives on training led to discrepancies in understanding, ultimately causing friction. For example, these exercises were almost useless for Matos. He only needed to complete the basic daily training to maintain his touch and physical condition. He was like a powerful cannon whose durability was almost depleted. Every serious use of him had to be on the line, in formal settings. Extremely high-intensity training would be a drain on him. Even Trigueira wanted him to play like a leisurely old man in training. Similarly, for Ibrahimovic, training was the most important occasion for competing for a starting position. His rivals are clear. Last season's Portuguese League Golden Boot winner, or rather, the three-time consecutive Golden Boot winner, Jardel. From Porto to Sporting Lisbon, although Jardel didn't achieve a four-peat in the league title, his Golden Boot streak continued. His dominance on the field is undeniable. Additionally, Drogba from France also puts some pressure on Ibrahimovic. He and Drogba are players with different styles. Ibrahimovic's footwork, ball control, and imagination far surpass Drogba's, but players with this technical style generally don't like physical contact. This is something Mr. Trigueira dislikes. Compared to Ibrahimovic, Trigueira clearly admires Drogba's playing style more. Indeed, in today's training, Ibrahimovic was still wearing a substitute's vest. But Drogba was already wearing a vest, trying to integrate with the starting team. This infuriated Ibrahimovic. It's worth noting that among Sporting Lisbon signings this year, besides Deschamps, Ibrahimovic is the most expensive. All these young players combined don't cost as much as Ibrahimovic. Viana? Quaresma? Cristiano Ronaldo? Deng Kai? Font, you're right. Therefore, in today's training match, Ibrahimovic not only played more aggressively in attack as Trigueira requested, but also actively tracked back defensively. Behind this aggressiveness, there was even some anger and aggression. Bang! Ibrahimovic knocked down Matos, who had the ball. Matos intended to pass the ball after holding off Ibrahimovic, but unexpectedly, Ibrahimovic not only used his long legs to poke the ball away, but also pushed Matos. This is a standard defensive move on the field, and this push is definitely what Trigueira wanted to see. But only if the opponent wasn't Matos. Even if you pushed Deschamps, it would be fine. Deschamps? What are you doing? Matos scrambled to his feet, cursing angrily. Are you trying to kill someone? This is a training match, not a slaughterhouse. Or do you think I'm not capable of treating you like this? You think I can't break your legs? You son of a bitch. I'll F your mother. Ibrahimovic was stunned. This, a striker's perfect defensive recovery, okay? Why are you swearing? But Matos's status is too high. Anyone suddenly being yelled at by him would be stunned first, not fight back. Seeing that Matos was about to lose his temper, the other players rushed over to break up the fight. Hey, Swiss kid, apologize to Matos quickly. Deschamps was nearby and knew exactly what was going on with Matos's emotions. I'm Swedish. Ibrahimovic felt wronged. Is Matos alright? Viana also came over to ask. Is he okay? Paulo Bento came over. What's going on? Ibrahimovic, what's wrong with you? Quaimeu, Marcos, Facundo, and others all came over. This is the team's #1 star. And he's almost 40, are you trying to push him to the limit? Don't you understand? It's not that he doesn't exert himself, he only does so during matches, okay? Schmeichel, Ronaldo, Deng Kai, and others also came over. I'm sorry, Ibrahimovic doesn't understand, he was a bit reckless. Mr. Maxa, please take Mr. Matos for a checkup. Deng Kai also came over, but besides calming him down, he offered further solutions to push things forward. Chapter 256. You deserve to be so valuable. It's okay, I'm fine. I just think the ball shouldn't be played like that. We're not mortal enemies. Matos felt better seeing so many people speaking up for him and didn't continue arguing with Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic only then came to his senses. He was furious. But he didn't dare to show it because everyone was on Matos's side. This feeling of injustice made Ibrahimovic's eyes redden. When had this Swedish genius ever been treated like this? It hurt so much? What? After calming Matos down, Deng Kai turned back to Ibrahimovic and said, Matos is getting on in years. Too much intensity can easily lead to injury. We have to understand them. Ibrahimovic was quite annoyed and muttered, but Jardel was like that too. Why didn't I see him yell at Jardel? Does he think I'm a pushover? Humph. Good grief. As soon as Matos left, Ibrahimovic dared to make such a fuss. Just now, someone was criticizing him to his face, and he didn't say a word. Deng Kai smiled and didn't say anything more. But honestly, the more someone cares about something, the easier it is for them to achieve it. Ibrahimovic's sensitivity to being seen as an easy target shows that he sometimes likes to pick on the weak. This is quite different from the Ibrahimovic of his future, more mature self. It seems that people's personalities can change. When Deng Kai turned around, he noticed that Jardel had just turned away. At this distance and in this position, could Jardel have heard Ibrahimovic's words? Then, more than 10 minutes later, Deng Kai confirmed that Jardel had indeed heard Ibrahimovic say, why didn't I see him curse Jardel? Because during a corner kick header, Jardel directly elbowed Ibrahimovic, bringing him down. Ibrahimovic curled up in the penalty area in pain, and tears welled up in his eyes. Half of it was from the pain. The other half was from feeling wronged. Everything had really gone wrong for him today. This made him doubt his future at Sporting Lisbon. After all, he was the most expensive player. What? You can't even handle this? You're a star player the club bought for 3 million, I didn't have your price tag at your age. You should be performing better than me. Jardel emphasized the word star player, launching into a barrage of sarcastic remarks. We're already competitors, and you're talking behind my back, hoping Matos will teach me a lesson. If I don't teach you a lesson, who will? Before this elbow strike, Jardel had already bumped into Ibrahimovic several times while tracking back. Ibrahimovic was completely disoriented, and this was Jardel's usual level of intensity. In reality, Jardel rarely tracks back in a match, he's already doing well just by leaving the attacking third. Say that again. Ibrahimovic flipped over, ready to unleash his karate. But Jardel was faster, flipping the still unsteady Ibrahimovic over again. I can say it as many times as I want, don't think you're so great just because you have a price tag. Young man, you still have a lot to learn. Jardel finished speaking, glancing at Quaresma as he went. The two had a falling out after losing to Jardel at the end of last season, which was a sarcastic remark about Quaresma's high price tag and lack of actual fighting ability. Ibrahimovic, already suffering from rib pain and unsteady on his feet, was thrown down by Jardel and even rolled twice, looking extremely vulnerable. What happened? What's going on with you guys? Matos was on the sidelines talking to Tragura and Maxa about match-related matters, which meant the coaches hadn't seen what had happened. So Tragura came over to ask what was going on after the match was interrupted. The players didn't know what to say in front of Jardel. In the end, the matter was left unresolved. The team atmosphere had a significant problem during this training session. In fact, Ibrahimovic didn't necessarily want Matos to yell at Jardel, he just wanted to say that Matos was unfair. Why could he arbitrarily lose his temper with young, inexperienced players? But anyone he used as an example wouldn't be happy to hear such words. To put it bluntly, Ibrahimovic still needed to work on the art of language, this art of witty banter. In the evening, Ibrahimovic was packing his things. It was already an hour after the daily training session ended, but people were still training on the field. Ronaldo and Pepe were still playing 1-2. Barzagli, Font, and Drogba were also practicing headers, 2 vying for the ball, 1 taking the free kick. Most surprisingly, the team's chief assistant coach, Messi, hadn't left either. He even served the players, bringing them food and drinks, helping them record valuable data, and so on. No wonder he had such a good reputation in the Portuguese coaching industry. All the players who worked with him spoke highly of him. There was definitely a reason for it. Going back so early? Deng Kai appeared beside Ibrahimovic without warning. Yet, Ibrahimovic didn't say much, picked up his bag, and was about to leave. Want to do some extra training together? Deng Kai asked, watching Ibrahimovic's retreating figure. Don't worry, we're the kind of opponents you can go all out against. You don't need to be so careful when playing against us. Ibrahimovic stopped. I don't want to talk about this right now. Deng Kai nodded. I know. Next time, I won't mention how you got tagged along by Matos because you were clueless, okay? Ibrahimovic walked over speechlessly. You really make me want to dribble past you on the field. Then let's give it a try. Deng Kai walked onto the field. A moment later, Ibrahimovic followed. The other players weren't surprised by Ibrahimovic's addition. Whether they could stick with it was the most important thing. Extra training had 2 purposes, to identify weaknesses and to refine their skills. The content of a player's extra training could reveal their characteristics and their future development direction. For example, Barzagli, who hadn't been a center-back for long, focused more on training the fundamentals of center-back. The intensity was low, and it was quite monotonous. His goal was to train these skills into muscle reflexes so that he wouldn't make basic mistakes in matches. Players who make a lot of basic mistakes, aside from a very few with ADHD, mostly have an attitude problem. In other words, they're careless. To put it bluntly, they haven't practiced enough. If they practiced enough, it would be hard to make mistakes. Drogba, on the other hand, constantly seeks physical contact and practices various shots inside the penalty area. It seems he understands his role clearly, deliberately strengthening his hold-up play while maintaining his threat in the penalty area and improving his finishing ability. These are all targeted solutions, although not all solutions are necessarily correct. For example, Drogba clearly overlooked the difficulty of receiving the ball in the penalty area. He should practice turning shots and long-range shots more than shooting inside the penalty area. And then there's Ronaldo. Well, he's currently competing with Pepe, practicing his one-on-one dribbling skills like crazy. P.S. That's all for tonight, but there will be an extra chapter tomorrow. Peach's dad tested positive and is staying in his room, but we've been eating together these past few days. It feels like COVID-19 is getting closer and closer to me. Amitabha. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257 Tai Chi, Deng Kai. Although speed was still the ultimate weapon in getting past opponents, his flashy moves had at least increased. He was now basically able to maintain control over Pepe. It has to be said that, spurred on by Pepe, Ronaldo has improved a lot recently. As for Font, well, he's a basic player without any special characteristics. Let him train however he wants, it doesn't matter. You're not doing well today? On the field, Pepe made another tackle. Ronaldo seemed out of sorts today. I have something to do today, I'll deal with you next time. Ronaldo said as he greeted Deng Kai, I'm leaving for a bit, don't wait for me for dinner tonight. Seeing Ronaldo leave in a hurry, Deng Kai frowned. This feeling is not right. Ronaldo never leaves early. Besides, he lost to Pepe today. According to his temperament, he should have kept Pepe in a one-on-one match until Pepe lost or Pepe deliberately lost. It's abnormal, too abnormal. 2 hours later, it was dark, and the extra training was over. Barzagli, Pepe, and Drogba were going out for dinner, and Font was going home. Ibrahimovic decided to eat later and headed back to the players' dormitory first. After taking a few steps, he noticed Deng Kai following him. What are you doing? Ibrahimovic knew Deng Kai didn't live in the players' dormitory. Deng Kai walked side by side with Ibrahimovic. I saw your movements today, it looks like you've practiced. Karate? Taekwondo? Muay Thai? Ibrahimovic hesitated slightly. Karate. Deng Kai asked. Blue belt? Ibrahimovic, black belt. Deng Kai smiled. Ibrahimovic thought Deng Kai was mocking him and got a little angry. What? Do you want to try it? Deng Kai shook his head. I just think you chose the wrong path. Ibrahimovic snorted coldly and stopped talking. There was no point in exchanging words. You're very tall, but your heading ability is lacking, Deng Kai bluntly stated. You're not strong in physical duels either. Your physical attributes are nowhere near Drogba's, let alone a stronger version of Jardel. I've watched videos of you playing. You like to dribble past opponents, using your footwork. Your balance is excellent, and your flexibility is superb, allowing you to pull off many outrageous dribbling and shooting moves. You're not a player who likes to solve problems physically. That's why when you're in trouble, whether it's Methos, Jardel, or even me, you don't instinctively resort to violence. With your personality, practicing karate is useless. Even if you were sent to the Red House, you wouldn't become a killing machine. Ibrahimovic's pupils contracted. Veins throbbed in his hands. He was completely stunned. Why did Deng Kai know him so well? Even Ibrahimovic himself didn't think he was like that, but after Deng Kai's words, he realized he truly was. If I had to use a metaphor to describe your situation, you really are like an elephant, Deng Kai said. You both look like war behemoths, possessing the power to move mountains, fill seas, and destroy everything. But actually, what you're best at isn't reckless charging. What you're best at is actually a more subtle, artistic approach. You always make yourself appear very domineering, like Zlatan never trying out or anything like that. But deep down, you're an artist. You're not Shaq, you're Elijah One. You have no interest in violent aesthetics, you prefer dreamlike dance moves. After a long silence, Ibrahimovic neither confirmed nor denied, but asked, you just said I chose the wrong path. That karate isn't suitable for me, so what is suitable for me? Deng Kai stood still and suddenly made a mahjong playing motion. Ibrahimovic, what's this? Deng Kai, Tai Chi, Deng Kai. For some reason, Ibrahimovic had a strong urge to add, Wing Chun, Ip Man. Deng Kai explained, Tai Chi seems peaceful and slow, but without peace, where does the explosion come from? To maintain this peace, one must endure until it's unbearable, until there's no more to endure, that's when the explosion occurs. The soft is the hard, and the hard is the soft. Tai Chi not only enhances your physical gifts of flexibility and coordination, and your gentle and peaceful personality, but it also teaches you when, where, and how to explode. Your football can certainly produce beautiful waltzes, but just as you can't guarantee the sharp strike that follows gentleness. Bang! Deng Kai unleashed a powerful shot, trying to demonstrate to Ibrahimovic that sudden explosion after calm. Clang. Fuck. Who the hell is playing football next to the dorm again? Isn't that training ground big enough for you? It's Ibrahimovic, I have to go now. If anyone asks, don't say I was here. Don't worry, Kai. Shit. It's you, Swedish kid? No, it's Kai, Deng Kai, Kaiser, it was him. Deng Kai didn't know if Tai Chi actually worked, but the problem with Ibrahimovic was real. The first thing rich kids often say after achieving a little success is, my success has nothing to do with my family. This is obviously laughable. Poor people usually don't directly admit their poverty unless someone asks to borrow money. It's like playing football. Strong players want praise for their technique. Technically skilled players want to be even bigger and stronger. Only when rich kids truly achieve great things, and when ordinary people truly understand the hardships of their impoverished parents, will they acknowledge the wealth or poverty they were born with. As Ibrahimovic aged, he gradually realized that his physique was his greatest asset, and his playing style relied more on his physical strength, thus unleashing a tremendous pivotal role in the center-forward position. But it was perhaps too late. Understanding earlier what his height and strength meant might have been the key for Ibrahimovic to unlock the door between himself and Messi and Ronaldo. Ibrahimovic's playing style seems to have changed somewhat, Trigura observed from the sidelines, noticing the recent changes in Ibrahimovic. I heard he joined KO's extra training group. Maxa, of course, couldn't see any changes in Ibrahimovic, but he knew how these changes had occurred. He's using his body more frequently now. Look at this ball, he leans on Deschamps, controls the ball with his chest, then lifts it up and heads it twice, Trigura said. Deschamps was right next to him, but he couldn't do anything about it, he could only let him break through. If it were the old Ibrahimovic, he would have deliberately given up physical confrontation and directly chipped the ball over him. But because he didn't contain Deschamps had a real chance to bring him down in the process. His playing style has become more pragmatic. It's gone from the aggressive style of Taekwondo to the balanced style of Tai Chi. Maxa was puzzled, but he used to practice karate. Fuck. A voice from the field interrupted Maxa and Trigura's conversation. Chapter 258 This God, I've got your hands. On the field, Ibrahimovic lost possession after being pressured by several defenders outside the opponent's penalty area. He aggressively fought back, lunging forward to tackle and steal the ball. The tackle sounds fierce, but Ibrahimovic primarily used his long legs to poke the ball away. He didn't even fully touch the ground. Moreover, his flexibility is excellent. He absorbed most of the force of the tackle himself, rather than collided with the opponent afterward. Even the strictest referee wouldn't consider it a foul. However, after losing possession, Jardel, who had stumbled a few times, turned and shoved Ibrahimovic hard, sending him flying. Ibrahimovic is nearly 1.95 meters tall, but Jardel is almost 1.9 meters as well. And Jardel is much stronger. He's stronger than the younger Ibrahimovic and Drogba. Do you even know how to play football? Jardel roared in anger. Half of his anger stemmed from being dispossessed by Ibrahimovic, and the other half from his inherent dislike of him. That's how football is. If you're even slightly annoyed with someone, once a confrontation begins, you're likely to lose your temper completely. What are you doing? Deng Kai rushed in front of Jardel, immediately 1.9 meters tall against 1.65 meters. It's practically the cutest height difference. Get out of the way. Jardel reached out to push Deng Kai aside. Cristiano Ronaldo and Font reacted quickly, immediately following. Ronaldo restrained Jardel without saying a word. When the boss is handling things, the underlings have no right to negotiate, they only need to take action. Jardel, don't do this. Font tried to pull Jardel away. Who the hell do you think you are? You're just a kid who hasn't even grown his hair yet. What are you doing to us? Jardel shoved Font away. See, this is what happens to an underling who doesn't know his place. This. Not far away, Deschamps immediately wanted to go over and stop the fight. But he glanced at Matthias first. No matter what, the team's current star is Matthias. And he's the undisputed star. There are several tiers below Matthias, then there are meritorious stars like Deschamps and Pinto, and then the team's core players like Jardel and Quaresma. Then come veterans like Bento, and star players like Viana. As for Ronaldo, Duncan, and others, they might not even be starters. Before Trigura made his decision, these young players seemed more like a reward for performing well in the youth academy, thus receiving training with the first team. It's just kids playing house, no need to get involved. Besides, the kid's not weak at all, Matthias murmured. Deschamps turned to look again. Pepe, Barzagli, and Drogba had also arrived. Adding Ronaldo and Broy, the five standing behind Duncan still created a somewhat intimidating sight. After all, even the shortest among them, Ronaldo, was over 1.8 meters tall. On the other side, Pinto and Bento hesitated, walking towards them, but very slowly. They were new to the team, and Jardel was the star striker. Offending Jardel would be unwise. But you can't afford to offend 6 people. This isn't a small team in any club. Especially with Duncan and Ronaldo among them. Pinto, who had witnessed the talent and temperament of Duncan and Ronaldo at Benfica, was well aware of Trigura's higher regard for them. Who knows, these 2 kids might even become starters. At the very least, they'd be key rotation players. They all felt the same way. Quaimeu, Marcos, Santos, and other fringe players also dared not intervene, merely standing by at a distance. Oh, found some help? With just these short, skinny guys? Jardel wasn't intimidated at all, at least not verbally. But his body honestly didn't move forward. Ibrahimovic's action was completely within the rules, everyone could see he was holding back. Deng Kai stared at Jardel. But your action, in any match, would warrant a red card. So whose fault do you think it is? If you think training is just a children's game, what are you training for? Don't you have any professionalism? What, want the same treatment as Matthias? Sure, the World Cup, the European Championship, the FIFA World Player of the Year, the Ballon d'Or, you can have any of them. Do you have them? We're all just ordinary players. If you feel Ibrahimovic's tackle made you lose face, then you should take it back. But not by punching him. Deng Kai's attitude was very firm. Ibrahimovic later became known as God. Now, Kaiser declared that he was protecting this God. HMPH. Jardel was very disdainful, but said nothing more. After all, there were so many of them, if a fight broke out, he would be at a disadvantage. Fortunately, Maxa ran over at this moment. He reprimanded Jardel and said he would take Jardel and Ibrahimovic to the office. I want to go too. I saw everything. I'm a witness, Deng Kai said. Maxa agreed. Jardel raised an eyebrow, somewhat annoyed by this troublemaker. Ibrahimovic remained silent, a warm feeling washing over him. In a foreign land, when someone of higher status and greater ability bullies you, and someone chooses to stand by you, even willing to face the terrifying office and the terrifying head coach with you, who could remain calm? Deng Kai only wanted to tell Ibrahimovic that it wasn't that scary. Turgut and Maxa were just parasites. Sure enough, upon entering the office, Turgut first gave Jardel a serious dressing down. Turgut was, after all, the head coach, and a new broom sweeps clean. Since Jardel had run into him, he wouldn't hold back. After a barrage of angry words, Jardel was punished by being made to run laps on the training field. Although Jardel was unhappy, remembering Turgut's words, if you don't run laps, you'll have to apologize to Ibrahimovic in front of the whole team, he could only endure it. Honestly, this scene was a bit intimidating for Ibrahimovic. Even a key player like Jardel, the team's absolute reliance on the forward line, was being punished like this. What kind of criticism would a newcomer like him face? Kai, Jardel didn't hurt you, did he? If anything had happened to you, I'd really. Trigura started to say, then remembered Ibrahimovic was there, and gestured for him to sit down. Sit down, everyone, let's talk. Ibrahimovic's world crumbled. Wasn't Trigura, known for nurturing young players like Wenger, supposed to be stern and unsmiling? How could this be? Kai, would you like some iced water or black tea? Maxa expertly picked up the tea-making tools. Why not iced black tea? Deng Kai asked. That's no problem at all. Maxa smiled slightly, realizing that Coach Kai, no, now Director Kai, was the team's only true sporting director this summer. Since learning that Director Kai was returning this season, Maxa had been honing his skills in every way imaginable. This summer, I learned to brew tea, bake egg tarts, make coconut milk jelly, ginger milk curd, tiramisu, latte art, voodoo ice jelly, and cold noodles with dry biscuits. Among other classic Chinese and Western dishes. All this was to make Coach Kai feel at home. Chapter 259. After hearing something he shouldn't have heard, Ibu was very scared. When Coach Kai is in a good mood, he can casually offer some player and tactical analysis, which is enough for Maxa to maintain his tactical mastermind persona. To be honest, in the 6 months since leaving Kai, Maxa was genuinely afraid to sleep. He was constantly worried about giving himself away. But now he's not afraid anymore. Having been around Kai for so long, he can handle all sorts of martial arts with impressive skill, especially nunchucks which combine softness and strength. He's even learning tactics from Kai, like following him to Wudang Mountain. Ibrahimovic is still in a daze, because he doesn't understand why Trigura and Maxa are being so polite to Duncan. Jadal. Deng Kai shook his head, watching Jadal run laps on the training field. I've calculated the average number of goals scored by Portuguese teams over the past few seasons. Each team scores about 100 goals per season. A strong team might score 130 or even 150. But last season, Sporting Lisbon only scored around 100 goals, the same as the previous 3 seasons. This shows. Jadal's arrival hasn't made the team's attack stronger, his role is to make the team's goals more concentrated. Referring to Sporting Lisbon's record last season, they were more consistent against weaker teams, but they also lost more often to stronger teams. This isn't a coincidence. I've watched the replays of those games. Jadal was tightly marked, making it difficult for the team to score, naturally leading to losses. If he were a striker capable of scoring against strong opponents, then his concentration of possession wouldn't matter. But if he can only beat weaker teams, his value to Sporting Lisbon is far less than everyone thinks. Ibrahimovic was stunned. Was this something a substitute player like Deng Kai should say? Was this something a rookie player like Ibrahimovic should hear? Moreover, he doesn't like dropping deep to receive the ball. He has the ability to hold up the ball but doesn't use that role. I don't like playing with a center forward like that. Last season, Viana couldn't find his form after recovering from injury because he lacked support from a dropping center forward. He was often double-teamed and disconnected from the team's attack and defense. In contrast, both Drogba's physical hold-up play and Ibrahimovic's footwork and passing are more helpful to the team. Furthermore, I think they will bring more to the team than Jardel when facing strong opponents. At least they have the potential, while Jardel has already proven with his performance that he doesn't have that ability. The main reason why the Brazilian national team hasn't called him up is because of this issue. Trigueira nodded frequently, but considering that Ibrahimovic was still there, he didn't comment. After enough time had passed, Trigueira let Ibrahimovic leave. Maxa instructed Ibrahimovic to act sadly, so that people would think he had been reprimanded. After Ibrahimovic closed the door, he deliberately slowed his pace, and then Trigueira's voice came through, "Is it to Benfica or someone else?" Deng Kai's voice followed, "Nuno Gomes was phenomenal in the European Championship. Benfica definitely wants to build a team around him." Would sending such a powerful striker like Jardel to Benfica be self-destructive? Sending him outside the Portuguese league isn't realistic either. Jardel is at his peak in the Portuguese league, but his influence is limited to within the league. Although teams in the Bundesliga and Ligue 1 have expressed interest in him, the prices are far from ideal, and the salaries offered are low. He might not be willing to leave. The best option is to send him back to Porto. Porto lost the league title without him, and the fans and the team understand Jardel's importance even more. Only they are likely to pay a hefty price to acquire Jardel. Don't forget, Jardel's salary increased significantly after joining Sporting Lisbon. Even sending him back for slightly less than his initial transfer fee would be the best possible outcome to minimize losses. Maxa interjected, "Does he really have to be let go? Can't we use him as a substitute? His goal-scoring efficiency is consistent, and his presence can also stimulate the potential of Ibrahimovic and Drogba to some extent." Deng Kai replied, "No need. Trust those you use, don't use those you don't trust. Whether it's Ibrahimovic or Drogba, as long as they adapt to the Portuguese league, they will definitely be good. Their rotation is more than enough. Jardel will only sit on the bench if he stays. After a season, his value will drop significantly. Now is the best time to sell him." Ibrahimovic slowly walked out of the office building. He didn't even dare to look back at Trigueira's window. He had heard something he shouldn't have heard, and he was worried. Looking at Ibrahimovic's expression, everyone thought he had been scolded. Ibrahimovic and Jardel went in at the same time. Jardel came out early to run laps, while Ibrahimovic was scolded for half an hour. Everyone knew which was more serious. Poor Ibrahimovic. Of course, at the same time, Ibrahimovic looked at Jardel running laps and couldn't believe that any team would sell a super striker who scored 38 goals in a single season in the Portuguese league. If he were the manager, he would definitely have sold out himself after his conflict with Jardel. That's ruthless. And the key point is that it was Deng Kai who suggested it. And the main reason was, "I don't like playing with a center forward like that. Dropping back, receiving passes, holding up the ball." These words kept flashing through Ibrahimovic's mind. He's a player who likes to play beautiful football. Before, he only pursued beautiful dribbling and shooting, but now, beautiful passing is also acceptable. In the following days, the conflict between Ibrahimovic and Jardel seemed to have subsided. But in fact, the impact had already penetrated everyone. Because Deng Kai stood up for Ibrahimovic, he not only had the support of his two old teammates, Ronaldo and Font, but also the assistance of new signings like Barzagli, Drogba, and Pepe. For a time, this group of young people surrounded Deng Kai, forming a circle where he wouldn't be bullied by the veterans. While standing out from the crowd, Deng Kai also maintained good relationships with most people outside this small group. From Matthias to the stadium doorman, he was well liked by everyone. After a warm-up match, the team defeated their opponent 2-0. Jardel scored twice, and Matthias contributed an assist. Considering their opponent was Lima, a newly promoted team from Ligue 2, this scoreline could be somewhat convincing to the fans. After all, Sporting Lisbon's squad has undergone almost complete overhaul, so beating a Ligue 2 team is still commendable. But in reality, Lima, as a newly promoted team, hasn't made any signings this season and has even lost a few seemingly average key players, Drogba, so their true level is below Ligue 2 standards. Sporting Lisbon, on the other hand, is a Portuguese powerhouse, and despite their hard work, they only won by 2 goals, without dominating the game. They relied entirely on Quaresma's dream dribbling and crosses on the wing, and their ability to create and capitalize on chances wasn't particularly impressive. Nevertheless, they won, and the team got a day off. Deng Kai organized a movie outing for the players under his wing. Deng Kai also texted Terry, but Terry said his family was coming to visit and he couldn't get away. Deng Kai expressed his understanding and wished Terry and his family a pleasant weekend. Chapter 260. This relationship ended too quickly. To Deng Kai's surprise, Cristiano Ronaldo didn't come either. He said he had something to do and made an excuse. This was interesting. In the past week, Ronaldo had frequently missed extra training sessions. His usual training form wasn't very good either, and he could no longer keep up with Pepe. This was very rare. Because for players like Ronaldo, within the same level, the starting point is often lower than others, but once he catches up, you can only see his back from behind, and it gets further and further away. But now, his growth rate has been surpassed by Pepe. He definitely wasn't putting all his effort into training. This was the first time in Ronaldo's career. The movie they went to see was X-Men, a special effects blockbuster, which everyone thoroughly enjoyed. The movie tickets were given by Hathaway's friend. They had VIP seats and complimentary food, making for a great experience. After the movie, Deng Kai spotted a familiar figure in the crowd. Before Deng Kai could call out, he noticed a girl next to that figure. They were shoulder to shoulder, looking youthful and innocent, clearly a young couple who had just finished a movie date. Is that Cristiano Ronaldo? Font also spotted the figure. SHH. Deng Kai gestured for everyone to be quiet, then secretly followed. Good heavens. No wonder Ronaldo has been absent lately. Turns out he's encountered the nemesis of male success, love. Judging from the fact that they were walking together but not holding hands, they haven't officially started dating yet, and today doesn't seem like their first date. They might very well officially start dating today. The girl had darker skin, long, curly hair, like a South American. There are quite a few South Americans in Portugal. However, not long after Ronaldo and the girl left the cinema, a man rushed out and dragged the girl and Ronaldo into a small alley. Holy crap! Deng Kai immediately told his brothers to follow. In broad daylight, is this a robbery? But before they even entered the alley, they heard arguing coming from inside. Fuck. Chris, do you want to die? How dare you mess with my sister? Hell, Mario, you better let go of me, or even if you're Jordana's brother, I'll fight back. Say that again? You think I won't hit you? You little brat. Brother, don't be like this, Chris and I are truly in love. Jordana, get out of here, you have no right to speak. Let me tell you, Chris, my sister and you are impossible, understand? I really can't stand you and that shorty, always acting so self-important. Do you really think you're basketball stars? You're nothing compared to real basketball stars. Mario Jardel, you better watch your mouth. Whether Jordana and I are dating is my business, it has nothing to do with Duncan. If you keep talking nonsense, don't blame me for not giving Jordana face. Pa. Talk to your mother. You dare to talk? There aren't many good football players, and my sister isn't one of those female fans who can be bullied. Jordana, you two didn't sleep together, did you? Brother, are you crazy? Chris and I haven't officially started dating yet, we're still seeing each other. You can't do this, freedom to love is my right. Good. I'll find you a good husband, and you shouldn't see him anymore. Jordana, don't forget who raised you with money from childhood. If you want to get another penny from me, you have to promise me you'll break up with this little bastard. This gay bastard is always with a Deng Kai. He's not a normal man at all. Fuck you. I'll beat you to death. Cristiano Ronaldo jumped over and started fighting with Jardel. He struck first, punching Jardel. But Jardel quickly subdued Ronaldo. Jardel slammed Ronaldo against the wall, and while Ronaldo was still dazed, he knocked him down and started punching him repeatedly. But the next moment, someone kicked him from behind. Get him. Deng Kai ordered. Several burly men rushed out immediately. Ibrahimovic was the first to charge. I told you to hit me, you really think I wouldn't dare? Ibrahimovic was having a blast. He didn't even bother with a karate stance, just started throwing punches, showing absolutely no samurai spirit. Font, Barzagli, Drogba, Pepe, and others joined in the beating. The scene quickly spiraled out of control. Even though Deng Kai tried to stop him repeatedly, Pepe, caught up in the frenzy, couldn't stop and was the most ruthless. This might be related to Jardel's previous beating of Ronaldo. Pepe and Ronaldo had trained together for so long, their bond was much stronger. Jordana was also trying to break up the fight, and finally managed to calm things down, but Jardel was already a bloody mess. "Chris, how could you do this? He's my brother." Jordana questioned Ronaldo, holding Jardel lying on the ground. Ronaldo was also bruised and battered. First of all, he wasn't the one who called him. Secondly, it wasn't him who ordered the beating. Finally, when Jared had just brutally beaten him, why didn't Jordana stop him or question her brother like that? Ronaldo had plenty of room to explain, but Jordana's words extinguished any desire to explain. Even his feelings for Jordana vanished. If he was somewhat impulsive before, he was now humbled. He deeply understood the difference between close and distant relatives. No matter what Jared had done, he was still Jordana's brother. His place in Jordana's heart could never surpass Jared's. This was unacceptable to Ronaldo. Although he also had his own siblings, Ronaldo, while taking care of his own family, prioritized his partner over his siblings. This was self-centered. But self-centered people sometimes care more about their own family. There's no right or wrong in Ronaldo and Jordana's views on this, but there is definitely a difference. They are not on the same path. "Let's go, there's nothing more to say," Ronaldo said, pulling Deng Kai away, gesturing for everyone to leave. "Chris, get lost." Jordana cursed Ronaldo and Deng Kai from behind. Cristiano Ronaldo clenched his fists, his eyes reddening, his departing figure resolute. Seeing that Jardel didn't seem to be in serious trouble, Deng Kai left with Pepe and the others. He understood Ronaldo's feelings. Ronaldo was the kind of person who would give everything for someone else, but only if you considered him your everything. He was afraid of being ignored. He was afraid of being disregarded. He couldn't bear any neglect. If Jordana had inquired about Ronaldo's injury, which also seemed to be in poor condition, Ronaldo, for the sake of his relationship with Jordana, might have even apologized to Jardel afterwards. Oh, poor Ronaldo. Seeing Deng Kai dating, he also went to find a girlfriend. And it ended before it even began. Pat on the head. Chapter 261 First Team Removal. The incident didn't happen in a confined space. There were already quite a few people around when Deng Kai and his team left. So it's normal that related news circulated afterward. He immediately called Trigura and confirmed some measures with him. This was an accident, but also an opportunity. Without this incident, Porto wouldn't even have considered buying Jardel back. After all, the striker they sold last year has an absolute tactical core position at his new club, a higher salary, more resources from the head coach, and this year he even has a big name like Methalis assisting him. Both his popularity and performance are worth anticipating. If this wave of teammate relationship issues hadn't occurred, whoever left would have been a fool. Bora report, Trigura's inability to manage his subordinates leads Deng Kai to gather young players to beat up the team's star striker, Jardel. It's all because of jealousy. Ronaldo and Deng Kai are jealous of Jardel's striker status, leading a group to beat him up in an alley, causing multiple soft tissue contusions. Are these a group of geniuses? No, they're a group of young outlaws. They have absolutely no idea what respect is. Jardel, Duncan and a bunch of people beat me up, I will never forgive him, and Ronaldo and Ibrahimovic too. Ronaldo refuses interviews. Rumors say he led a group to beat up Jardel after his pursuit of Jardel's sister failed. The Swedish prodigy is extremely arrogant. After being rejected by Arsenal, he joined Sporting Lisbon and then beat up his teammates. Brazilian centre-back Pepe goes on a rampage. Insiders reveal he's worthless in Brazil. Sporting Lisbon couldn't buy the truly valuable players. The fake player is too good at beating people. Pepe beats up Jardel. 3 people couldn't hold him back. Barzagli and Drogba took sides. They controlled Jardel's body. Font stayed on the sidelines, didn't fight back at all, just like his performance on the field, a true king of coasting. A clever bully. Duncan has become a problem child. His early fame has fueled his arrogance. He has seriously disrupted the team's stability. The media outlets widely reported on the incident, with the matter escalating rapidly. Trigura was suddenly ridiculed, especially since just a month prior, Portuguese media had dubbed him the Portuguese Wenger. But when had such egregious incident of player assault ever occurred in Wenger's teams? Furthermore, this wasn't Deng Kai's first offense. He had previously led a group to assault an Argentinian, and even if the Argentinian was indeed at fault, assault is still wrong. This time, He even assaulted a teammate. His long history of misconduct makes him a complete bad boy. Many media outlets declared that this matter absolutely could not be left unresolved, and Sporting Lisbon must severely punish the culprit. Many coaches and club executives in the Portuguese league expressed their opinions, believing that players like Deng Kai and Ronaldo had serious problems and that this cancer cell needed to be eradicated as soon as possible. However, when Sporting Lisbon released the punishment notices for Deng Kai and Ronaldo, their officials nearly collapsed the threshold of Deng Kai's parents and Ronaldo's house. Sporting Lisbon official announcement: in light of the previous egregious incident, we hereby announce the removal of Duncan and Cristiano Ronaldo from the first team. The fewer the words, the bigger the impact. Sporting Lisbon's official announcement sent shockwaves across much of Europe. Moreirense almost immediately submitted a loan request, hoping to retain Duncan and Ronaldo for another year. However, their wish was unlikely to be fulfilled. It wasn't that Sporting Lisbon rejected them, but rather that there were too many offers with higher priority than the loan request, raining down on Sporting Lisbon like snowflakes. Leaving aside the Portuguese media that had previously criticized Duncan and Ronaldo, Porto, Benfica, and Boavista all expressed their willingness to spend €5 or €6 million to acquire the two troublemakers. Outside of the Portuguese league, Arsenal submitted an offer of €6 million for both players. Professor Wenger personally called Trigueira, stating that he would properly train the two boys and would not let Trigueira down, who had once valued the twin stars so highly. This emotional appeal was deeply ingrained, capitalizing on the regret of a mentor failing to develop promising talents. The biggest regret for a master is that his apprentices don't learn well. If someone could help them teach them properly, they would be willing to part with them even if it hurts. But Arsenal is too stingy. Manchester United directly shouted out a package deal of €10 million. It is rumored that Ferguson personally placed the order. Two players who have never played in the Portuguese league level are individually valued at €5 million, which is simply outrageous. You should know that when Jardel won the Portuguese league's Golden Boot twice and the European Bronze Boot, his transfer to Sporting Lisbon was only €17 million. It means that in Manchester United's eyes, Duncan and Ronaldo together are already equivalent to more than half of Jardel? How is that possible? Out of a dozen or so such youth talents, producing even one Jardel is a huge win. But the most ruthless one is Bayern Munich. They made a separate offer of €7 million for Ronaldo. They both hate Duncan and think that Duncan will not make it in the future. But Bayern still has high hopes for Ronaldo. They have a special fondness for this kind of workhorse player who doesn't have flashy skills. Ronaldo, never heard of the electric bicycle kick? Everyone's scrambling to sign the two star players, but some clubs are actually quite disappointed. Sporting Lisbon initially thought they'd firmly support players like Duncan and Ronaldo, whose DNA represents the future. Surprisingly, they were incredibly sensible and chose to keep Jardel. After Duncan and Ronaldo were dismissed from the first team, Jardel immediately returned to training with bandages. Porto is particularly regrettable. They really need Jardel. In the past 2 years, with Jardel, they still won championships despite their midfield not being up to par. Last year, Deco reached his peak, and if Jardel, this powerful weapon, could return this year, they might even achieve something in the Champions League. But Alice. Porto's sporting director held the offer list in his hand, watching time tick by, gritting his teeth, hoping for a breakthrough. Otherwise, buying Jardel would require a real financial investment, which would be prohibitively expensive. How difficult is it to acquire Jardel? Just look at Sporting Lisbon's attitude. After dismissing Deng Kai and Ronaldo from the first team, the club successively sent Barzagli, Drogba, Ibrahimovic, and Pepper to the U19 team, saying they would have them train there for a week as punishment. Jardel finally let go of his resentment and was completely satisfied with his position. Font, after all, was a product of their own youth academy, and although he had also made a mistake, the first team still kept him. Maxa, Dem, Font was involved in the fight too. We completely forgot about him. Should we add more punishment and send him to the U19 team as well? Chapter 262 All distributed and non-sale items. Trigueira, no need, nobody remembers him anyway. Look at all these media outlets, not a single one mentions his name. Maxa, that's true, Jardel doesn't even hold a grudge against Font. I guess there were too many people hiding him back then, and Font, with his generic face, doesn't even stand out. On August 17, Sporting Lisbon won their second pre-season friendly. This time, their opponent was a team from Serie B. Jardel scored a goal, and Quaresma and Methalis also found the net. But perhaps the team's attitude towards Jardel fostered his arrogance. In a subsequent training match, Jardel and Terry clashed again. The reason was Terry's flying tackle on him. Terry came here to play as a starter. However, in the last two per-season friendly matches, he was substituted by his teammates. Trigueiro was clearly dissatisfied with his performance. This was largely due to Methalis' frequent forward runs, Dechamp's lack of defensive toughness, and the large gaps behind Viana. These weaknesses all had to be filled by Terry as a center-back, and with so much pressure on him, conceding goals and making mistakes was only natural. Terry therefore deeply missed the training matches he had with Duncan. Duncan's attacking attributes were no less than Viana's, but his defensive awareness was far superior, especially in interceptions, which were remarkably sharp, often able to interrupt the opponent's attack immediately. Moreover, Duncan excelled at controlling the tempo. If Duncan didn't want to, Methalis would have a hard time getting on the pitch, and even if he did, he wouldn't have a chance. With Methalis in the backfield, Dechamp's defensive intensity problem naturally disappeared, because Methalis' intensity was more than enough. How much easier would that be for Terry? Most threats wouldn't be his turn to deal with, so how could his performance be bad? He might even catch a cold on the pitch if he wasn't careful. It was precisely because his starting position was in jeopardy that Terry put on such a fierce performance in the subsequent training matches. Flying tackles might be more serious in other leagues, but in the Premier League, it's just child's play. Don't think you're jarred. Even if you're a rising star like Beckham or Michael Owen, your teammates can just tackle you whenever they want. If you get tackled, you can only blame yourself for not being fast enough or having poor dribbling skills. As for hitting someone, after being tackled by Terry, Jardel got up and slapped Terry across the face, leaving Terry stunned. Afterwards, Terry was called to his office and reprimanded for 2 hours. That evening, Sporting Lisbon issued another statement, demoting Terry to the U19 team for a week of training. This sparked outrage among Chelsea fans. Fans expressed their anger, saying Sporting Lisbon was ungrateful for treating their youth captain this way. Recall Terry. He's not going to Sporting Lisbon. Trash Portuguese league. It's outrageous. We should have kept Terry. This loan was a bad decision. Terry will likely waste a year of his youth. Damn it, so infuriating. Terry, who's already made one first-team appearance, is going to the Portuguese league to play U19. I want to tear Jardel to pieces. From now on, England will beat Brazil every time we see them. Given this situation, Porto knew that waiting for Jardel to be devalued was impossible. Deng Kai, Cristiano Ronaldo, all the new signings Sporting Lisbon acquired this year, along with the talented young players on loan, have all been relegated. Sporting Lisbon can't afford to lose Jardel, no matter who they lose. They're clearly preparing to develop Jardel as their ace. Porto even suspects that if Methalis and Jardel clash, Sporting Lisbon might also relegate Methalis to the U19 team. But this is easily understood. Nuno Gomes shone brightly at the European Championship, significantly boosting Benfica's support. Jardel is a more dominant centre-forward than Gomes in the Portuguese league, perhaps even significantly stronger. A superstar centre-forward determines a team's strength. Sporting Lisbon's protection of Jardel indicates their intention to dominate the Portuguese league for the next 5 years. If Sporting Lisbon were to rise to prominence, Porto would suffer a huge loss. Having realized this, Porto unexpectedly made an offer for Jardel, €15 million. After submitting their offer, Porto, in an effort to maintain control, contacted Maxier, stating, "Jardel has caused too much trouble for your team. Team atmosphere is key to success. With him around, Sporting Lisbon will struggle to maintain its cohesive unit. Why not let us shoulder the burden?" Maxier immediately refused. How could that be? Sporting Lisbon will unite around Jardel in the future. Any player who clashes with him will be dropped. His strength is undeniable. I spent a season getting him to adapt to Sporting Lisbon, and this season is when he'll truly shine. Believe me, he'll definitely break 40 goals this season. I warn you not to make any more offers. He's not for sale. How could Porto not believe Maxier? After all, Maxier was Jardel's favorite coach at Sporting Lisbon. Porto had already learned through Jardel's agent about Maxier's tactical leniency towards Jardel last season. No player dislikes working with such a coach. Porto, €17 million. That's the same amount he paid last year, but his salary is higher and he's older. You won't find another buyer at this price point except us. Maxa, but we don't even want to find a buyer. Please, this is Jardel. We even plan to bring Simeão back from Barcelona to install his devil wingers. I've already spoken with Quaresma. His shooting beauties must be transferred to Jardel this season, or else the U19s will be in trouble. Porto initially thought Maxa was joking. After all, Quaresma was a true star product of Sporting Lisbon's own youth academy. Jardel was an imported star, while Quaresma was the top homegrown player. You're even suppressing your own people. In recent years, only one club has managed to do this, and that's Real Madrid. And the result was obvious. Real Madrid won 2 Champions League titles in 3 years, becoming one of the most successful clubs outside of Serie A, just like Manchester United, inspiring countless players. Sporting Lisbon wants to become the Real Madrid of the Portuguese league? No. We absolutely can't let them start that. Just 2 days later, Quaresma was indeed demoted. Viana was also demoted along with him. Trigueiro didn't explain Quaresma's situation, but responded to Viana's demotion. Viana has never been able to develop chemistry with Jardel. He needs some calm, some confidence, and perhaps the U19 team can help him find those. For a time, Jardel seemed to be the Portuguese football king. No other player had ever enjoyed such super privileges at the club. Maxi even asked Jardel what kind of players he preferred to play with. How about Deco from Porto? Chapter 263 years of being the Golden Boot winner went unnoticed. One transfer brought him worldwide recognition. Jardel played with Deco for 2 years, and Deco understood his needs. Jardel wanted to work with Deco. This matter was obviously overheard by Porto, who are currently trying to win over Jardel's agent. Good heavens. I haven't even bought your striker yet, and you're already poaching my midfield maestro? 20 million euros. Porto offered again. And throw in Postiga? Otherwise, we'll be without a center forward. Maxa countered. Impossible, Postiga is our future hope, his value is at least 7 million euros. Porto refused. Then 25 million euros, let you make 2 million for free. Maxa wavered. 22 million euros, we can't afford any more, this is our biggest offer. Porto was desperate. 23 million euros, without Jardel, we have to find a reliable center forward in other leagues during this time, you know how difficult that is. Maxa lamented, looking at Deng Kai's gestures beside him, feeling that Kai was being greedy. The other party had clearly stated that 22 million was their final offer. Okay, deal, 23 million euros. Porto's teeth were practically grinding. Why bother? Last year they sold Jardel because he demanded the top salary in the Portuguese league and a 5-year contract. They felt their own youth academy graduate, Postiga, was ready to succeed Jardel, so they didn't give him the contract, and even made a hefty 17 million euros transfer fee. This year, they bought him back for 23 million euros, losing 6 million euros in transfer fees, and Jardel's salary is also top tier, plus he spent a year playing for another club. What was the point? After securing the deal, Porto immediately fired the sporting director who had strongly advocated for selling Jardel last year. Idiot. This is a classic case of if you don't manage your money, it won't leave you. The more they messed around, the more they lost. If they couldn't reach the Champions League knockout stage this year with Jardel and Deco leading the way, Porto would really suffer a huge loss. Conversely, Trigueiro was still somewhat dazed after completing the Jardel deal. The boss said they would invest at least 10 million euros in the club this season. After spending a whopping 8 million euros to get rid of him, Jardel's sale brought in another 23 million euros. What to do? Isn't this deceiving the fans? Won't it cause fan backlash? How can this be explained to the fans? It's a tough situation, Trigueiro is worried sick. With a heavy heart, Maxi told Jardel about the trade and, as Jardel's mentor, offered him some heartfelt words. The transfer window is closing soon, there's no time left. Porto won't let Deco go, and the young players at Sporting Lisbon aren't up to par. If you stay at the club, you'll likely be held back for another year. Maxa was almost in tears. I really don't want you to leave. You're the best center forward I've ever had. But this year we have the World Cup qualifiers. If you perform well enough, even if the Brazilian national team doesn't have high hopes for you, they'll have to give you a chance to play. With your ability, once you're in the national team, Ronaldo won't stand a chance. In the 2002 World Cup, you'll be Brazil's starting center forward, leading the Samba army to victory and adding another star to the Brazilian national team's emblem. I can't let my own selfish desires ruin your life. Going to a team that can dominate in the Portuguese league and qualify for the Champions League is the most important thing for you right now. Jardel was immediately moved to tears. The national team aspect really struck a chord with him. It was something he hadn't considered before. Maxa is like a second parent to me. Jardel decided to leave and quickly signed a new contract with Porto. On August 25, just 5 days before the transfer window closed, a major deal broke in the Portuguese Primeira Liga. Porto acquired Mario Jardel, the three-time reigning Golden Boot winner, from Sporting Lisbon for €23 million. This transfer, along with a fee for Claudio Lopes, barely made it into the top 10 transfers of the summer. The Brazilian striker Jardel has become a sensation in Europe. Even Brazilian fans, who had largely ignored other center forwards after Ronaldo's arrival, began asking, who exactly is this Jardel? Jardel's past achievements are undeniably brilliant. He won the Primeira Liga title 3 years in a row and the Golden Boot 3 years in a row. He also won the European Bronze Boot in the seasons before and after. He's an absolutely phenomenal center forward. Suddenly, Brazilians are calling for Jardel to be given a chance to be a substitute for Ronaldo in the national team. Jardel, a Golden Boot winner for years, went unnoticed until his high-priced transfer brought him international recognition. He has finally reached the pinnacle of his career. He believed this was just the beginning of his legendary career. Alcântara Training Ground, U19 Training Field. Alright, that's all for today's training. The U19 players can disband, the first team players stay. Maxa read from the script. Deng Kai took the initiative to comfort his U19 teammates. Because in the past week, they had been utterly humiliated by the first team players. In terms of age, both sides seemed to be about the same, with the first team players being slightly older. But the difference in strength was truly worlds apart. On the U19 side, apart from Veloso who could barely put up a fight, the rest of the players were completely outmatched by Ibrahimovic, Drogba, Barzagli, Pepe, Font, and others. Especially the Chinese supergroup of Wu Zedong, Yu Shihao, Chen Tao, Xiao Jiaoyi, Hao Jinmin, etc. After they arrived in the Portuguese league, they had a smooth ride. The team was harmonious. They even won the league championship in the U17 team, feeling that they were invincible among their peers. They even thought that the European prodigies were nothing special. Until recently, after Sporting Lisbon's new signings arrived, the players were almost driven to football phobia. Aside from Ibrahimovic, a relatively well-known talent, the others were completely unknown. 2 of them even came from lower leagues. Talented players all start in the youth academies of top clubs, only those rejected by others end up in lower-level teams early. But even these leftovers could teach them a lesson. This left the U19 players dejected and almost losing confidence. It's okay, don't underestimate these newly signed players. They're actually very strong. They could hold their own even in the first team, so don't take it too hard, Deng Kai constantly reassured his veteran teammates. Just wait and see our results this year, then you'll know just how incredible a group of players you've been playing with for over a week. This week, besides training sessions, the first team players who had been relegated also trained with the U19s. This was definitely beneficial for the U19 players. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 New Season, New Formation, New Starting Lineup. For example, Veloso, who thought he was invincible in the defensive midfield position, suddenly realized after seeing Pepe that defensive midfielders of his age could be this freakish. Yu Shihao thought he could already roam around professional center-backs, but Barzagli could dispossess him even without physical contact. Physical contact was like an adult beating a child. Hao Junmin thought his footwork was quite good, but Ibrahimovic, at 1.95 meters tall, had even more flashy dribbling skills and a smoother ball control. How could they compare? Xiao Jiaoyi and Chen Tao also thought they were at least physically comparable to adult players. But after meeting Drogba, they realized that even a beast could play football. No, not just a beast, this was Drogba. Wu Zedong thought his speed would allow him to do whatever he wanted, but against Terry, he realized how difficult it was to run against top defenders. That flying tackle was ridiculously accurate. That's right. What outsiders thought was a demotion was actually a secret training session for Ibrahimovic and other players. Before demoting them, Trigura would have detailed discussions with each of them. They were not allowed to divulge any secrets, otherwise they would never return to the first team. The real purpose of their demotion was to allow them to adapt to the team's new formation and style of play in advance. The veteran players had seen a lot and were very adaptable. Whether they would succeed in the new season depended mainly on the performance of these young players. Of course, this was also a publicity stunt to sell Jardel. I believe no one present opposed Trigura's move. Only Ibrahimovic knew the whole story. Duncan felt Jardel was unsuitable, and the club staged this huge drama to support it, his status within the team. Moreover, Ibrahimovic, with his keen on-field insight, vaguely sensed that the formation they were practicing together wasn't something Viana, as a midfield maestro, could handle. Even judging from Viana's adaptation, this tactic wasn't entirely suitable for him. It wasn't that Viana played poorly, he was very talented. But this formation contained too many elements and variations, and none of Ibrahimovic or the others could fully grasp it. Quaresma and Viana couldn't either. That vacant central position, could it be? Ibrahimovic had already guessed. August 27th. Sporting Lisbon played their final pre-season friendly. They lost. The media went wild, stirring up trouble. Letting Jardel go was Sporting Lisbon's biggest mistake. Trigura is a war criminal. Not only did they fail to buy a superstar in his prime all summer, but they also let go of the team's only true core striker. Brazilian Warrior leads Porto to a 3-0 victory. Porto is poised for a strong start to the new season. Deco praises Jardel is the strongest centre-forward in the Portuguese league, bar none. Jardel says, Deco's passing was brilliant, he should join me in the Brazilian national team. Sporting Lisbon fans smash the team's windows. Trigura, go back to the youth academy. We want Jardel, not 23 million. The club's management are liars. They promised a 10 million investment, but made a net profit of 15 million after the transfer window closed. Plus, by not selling Quaresma, they made a profit of 30 million euros. Young players demoted back to the first team. Their performance in the last warm-up match was a disaster. Their positioning was like dog shit. This team not only lacks a super striker, but even needs a super Deco. Sporting Lisbon is beyond saving. Last 2 days. Sporting Lisbon has a lot of cash, why not buy players? Shocking. Disgraced players return to the first team. Deng Kai and Ronaldo appear in team training. Is the so-called expulsion just this? Porto strongly criticizes Sporting Lisbon for its lack of principles. Players like Deng Kai and Ronaldo should be released by the team. The outside world is in an uproar. Sporting Lisbon's actions this summer have left everyone confused. Perhaps some astute individuals have already seen clues from Deng Kai's return. But to confirm their suspicions, we need to see if Deng Kai appears in Sporting Lisbon's squad for the first round of the Portuguese league. If Deng Kai is included in the squad, then the previous demotion may very well have been a charade. This suggests that Sporting Lisbon was determined to sell Jardel from the moment he and Ronaldo got into a brawl, and immediately orchestrated this whole affair. If true, then Trigura's cunning and shrewdness allowed him to manipulate the entire European media and numerous interested clubs. No, Trigura had only been away from the team for 6 months and had just returned. His understanding of the first team was far from deep. Trigura was more likely just providing unconditional support from the club's management. The real mastermind was someone who knew the team very well and could gain Jardel's trust. Only he was confident that selling Jardel wouldn't cause the team to fall from its former glory, especially given the significant changes the team had undergone this season. That person was the transfer god, San Maxa. This conjecture was quickly confirmed. No, or rather, confirmed in a way that exceeded some people's expectations. On August 30th, Sporting Lisbon, through its chief assistant coach Maxa, announced the 18-man squad for the first round of the Portuguese League a day in advance. Duncan and Ronaldo were prominently featured. Just when everyone thought the press conference was over, Maxier said into the microphone, "Of course, a new season, a new look. To reassure fans and players alike, I'm now announcing the starting lineup. I hope all the starting players will give their all in the game. And I hope all the substitutes will be ready to step up when the team needs them. Ronaldo, Drogba, Quaresma, Viana, Duncan, Mathos, Deschamps, Terry, Font, Barzagli. The media erupted in uproar. Drogba, Terry, and Barzagli, these three newly acquired young players, were starting? That was bad enough. Ronaldo and Duncan were starting too? The previous punishment was practically meaningless. Mathos had even dropped back. This was clearly using Duncan as the core. It was outrageous. And this 3-2-2-3 formation, Sporting Lisbon had never played before. How dare they switch to a three-defender formation? This change was obviously to add someone to the midfield. Who is it? Did you even need to ask? They added Deng Kai. They even changed the team formation just to get Deng Kai in the starting lineup. Trigura is really spoiling Deng Kai too much? He can't coach without Deng Kai's help, right? The key is, with Deng Kai's level, he thinks he can become Sporting Lisbon's star? Look at Maxija, that's what a true great coach should be like. Maxija, so what exactly does a great coach look like? Chapter 265 is the first release? No, this is called the core. Maxa, oh, well. I thought you'd be criticizing me when I announced the roster, but I didn't expect my handsome guy and Kai to take the blame. Yet, why did Maxa announce the roster? Because Trigler is still helping the team adapt to the new formation. This formation is completely tailor-made for the team. You could say the team bought a formation specifically to fit into it. Even the players are surprised at how quickly they adapted to the formation. Of course, that's after training with Deng Kai. Before training with Deng Kai, the players were actually a bit unsure how to use this formation. Mainly because there are too many ways to change the formation. Without a commander's guidance, you switch to 4-3-3, he switches to 4-5-1, and someone switches to 3-2-5, which just creates chaos. In the early stages of the new formation, the player's understanding of the formation is still insufficient, which is when a commander is most needed. Viana is a good player, but his talent is the main strength. Whether on or off the field, his leadership is lacking. This is a job that Deng Kai likes. He can handle it. Therefore, the criticism of Deng Kai's starting position is wrong. What they should be criticizing is why Deng Kai is the core of this team. Deng Kai, Mathos, drop back. Be prepared to become a left center back at any time. Mathos, I don't want to play center back. I want to be more involved in the game. Deng Kai, our passing is mainly done by the center backs. The center backs can also initiate long passes depending on the situation. Are you sure you don't want to go over? Mathos fell in love with a position as soon as he got there. He had played center back before, and it was tough and tiring. The center backs in this formation are different. Mathos drops back, turning the three center backs into a four-back system. The ball is passed around between their 4 feet, then goes to both sides. Ronaldo cooperates with Viana, Quaresma cooperates with Deng Kai. If it doesn't work, they drop back. The defenders play like midfielders, and crucially, they don't suffer the pressure of being swarmed by the midfielders. It's awesome. Older players love playing like this. Full of participation, and easy. This is Van Gaal's U-shaped passing and his big circle tactics. Deng Kai, Viana, after Mathos goes down, you need to drop back a bit more. Mathos, explain yourself, where? Deng Kai, Ronaldo isn't good at getting past defenders in midfield. You play as the playmaker in this position, and Ronaldo and I will coordinate. Drogba will also drop back, so you can adapt as needed. Viana was very happy because this way, he and Ronaldo could switch positions to the left, or advance through the middle with support from Drogba and Deng Kai. When the ball is on the left, this is the playmaker style. Crucially, it doesn't require him to run around and waste energy. Deng Kai, Deschamps, after Mathos goes down, you need to position yourself slightly more centrally. You're our defensive anchor. But don't feel pressured, the defenders behind you are strong and provide quick support. You just need to slow them down. Be steady. We don't need to fight or grapple with the opponent. We'll play a positional defense. As long as you can buy us time, it's a successful defense. Deschamps, don't worry. No need to fight with the opponent, just intercept and block. This style of play is perfect for older players. Besides, Deschamps wasn't a physically imposing defensive midfielder. Deng Kai, Quaresma, you need to drop deeper. Deschamps' interceptions will directly pass to you, you need a lot of possession. We need you to complete solo runs down the right flank. Your dazzling dribbling can't be confined to the attacking third. Dribbling, penetration, crosses from the byline, cut inside and shoot, you have countless options. As our attacking force, you must do everything you can to break through the opponent. That's the mission of the team's star player. Quaresma, don't worry about me. I can even dribble from the back. Deng Kai, no need. Quaresma? Deng Kai, you're our attacking core, we can't let you do defensive work in the back. It's a waste. Quaresma beamed. This is just banter, the art of language. The key is that everyone bought into it, because Deng Kai wasn't just fooling people. Having Viana drop back, Viana indeed became the core of the left midfield. But in reality, Viana also indirectly relinquished the right to attack on the left flank, a responsibility that fell to Ronaldo. This forced Quaresma to drop deeper, essentially giving him the entire right flank to do the hardest and most arduous work, and Quaresma was perfectly happy about it. That's the responsibility of a star player. Mathals's forward runs were limited, ostensibly to control the initiation of attacks. For the sake of stability, Deschamps' possession in attack and on counter-attacks was reduced, forcing him to focus on defense, yet Deschamps still felt that Kerr was favoring the young players. As for the other young players, no further rhetoric is needed. Fight. Spread out a bit, make room for Mathals. But don't do it too early, to avoid creating gaps in the connection. Barzagli, be decisive when you foul. With Quaresma supporting you, you don't need to push forward so much. Once your back is open, it's their playground, so be more cautious. Terry, your tracking speed is good, but don't tackle recklessly, or you'll completely lose track of your target. Our first priority in this defense is to secure the ball, then come the winning possession. We don't need to get the ball from their feet, our goal is to delay, and delay some more. Drogba, drop back. What are you doing standing in the box? Hold off the others, provide a pivot for Viana and me to pass the ball out. Ronaldo, what are you standing there for? Charge. Keep attacking their defense on the left flank. When Viana or I pass to you, I expect you've already beaten their right back. That's your purpose. Schmeichel, come out a little further. The defense will pass back to you at any time. If you're too far away, they might intercept. Your footwork is among the best of all goalkeepers. If you can't do it, then no one can. And so, players throughout the team kept changing positions, but everyone knew what they were supposed to do. The formation looked chaotic, but the overall strategy in everyone's minds was becoming clearer. August 31st, the first round of the Portuguese Primeira Liga. Last season's champions, Boavista, played their opening match, easily securing their first victory and continuing their championship momentum. Porto, led by Jardel and Deco, defeated their opponents 4-1. Jardel scored twice, and Deco contributed a goal and an assist, showcasing his core player status. Benfica lost veteran João Pinto, but the red glow of the season has nurtured talent. Nuno Gomes entered the league with a good form from the European Championship, contributing 2 assists and a goal to help the team narrowly defeat Guimarães 3-2. The top 3 teams from last season's Primeira Liga remained stable. Everyone is watching Sporting Lisbon's performance, the team that finished 4th last season. Chapter 266. My response is only for those who support me. Alvadala Stadium. Although the fans were somewhat disheartened, those who wanted to come still showed up. After all, it was the team's first game of the new season, and at home. Even if they weren't there to watch the game, they'd come even if it was just to criticize Trigger. When the commentator announced the players' names as they entered, the fans were indifferent. Mainly because they didn't recognize them. Didier Drogba, John Terry, Andrea Barzagli, Jose Font. Font, I've been playing for Sporting Lisbon since I was a kid, and you don't recognize him? The atmosphere only started to heat up when Viana, Quaresma, and Schmeichel came out. Then Deschamps appeared, and the fans began to applaud enthusiastically, just like when Schmeichel first joined last season. With Mathals's arrival, the atmosphere reached its climax. People chanted Mathals's name incessantly. This is the eternal special treatment for the FIFA World Player of the Year and the Ballon d'Or winner. After all, they were once the world's best player. Cristiano Ronaldo. The cheers, which had reached their peak, fell silent as Ronaldo appeared. For the first time, Ronaldo failed to receive the fans' favor at his home stadium. Even today, many fans still believe that Ronaldo's breakup with Jordana was the main reason for Jardel's departure, and thus they hold Ronaldo responsible. Deng Kai. The commentator called out another name. This time, boos even broke out from the crowd. Several players instinctively looked at Deng Kai at the back, worried about his condition. Deng Kai raised his hands, walking forward while rotating and scanning his surroundings, greeting the fans who were cheering for him. This directly caused the boos to grow louder. Most of the fans who booed Deng Kai were provoked by his action, although they knew that this was Deng Kai's usual pre-match gesture at home. Why did you have to provoke them? Mathos, who was standing near Deng Kai during the team photo on the grass, spoke up. Deng Kai, standing on tiptoe and maintaining a smile, said, "I'm not provoking anyone, I'm greeting my supporters. They took time out of their busy schedules to watch my games, not to see me give them a hard time. If I were influenced by those who criticize me and retaliate with actions or words now, it wouldn't be fair to my supporters. I'm one against many. I might think I'm only attacking those who criticize me. But the fans are one against one, they'll just think I'm inexplicably giving them a hard time, even though they've been cheering me on the whole time. So my response is always only for those who support me." Mathos was silent for a moment. Few stars could do what Deng Kai did. No, in European football, very few stars even consider this. Mathos, but it seems like you have very few supporters now. We can't even hear their cheers, amidst this huge booing. Deng Kai shrugged and walked towards the center circle. Even if only one person supports me, responding to them wouldn't be a loss. Besides, I know there's definitely more than one person who supports me. I should have met you sooner, then my relationships with my teammates, coaches, and fans wouldn't have deteriorated like this, Mathos remarked. No, your problem has never been that. Your main problem is that you can't control your lower body, Deng Kai said, covering his mouth. Mathos was stunned. Holy crap. How does this kid know everything? But I suggest you don't do anything bad at Sporting Lisbon. Deng Kai gestured for Mathos to step back. When Maxa teaches tactical skills, he pays great attention to the moral character of the person he's teaching. He thinks highly of you and seems willing to share everything he knows. Don't disappoint him. After all, you probably want to coach the national team in the future, right? There's nothing cooler than making those who dislike you envious. Mathos's eyes lit up. He had to admit that Deng Kai had hit the nail on the head. He liked the feeling of being disliked by others but unable to do anything about it. Whistle. With a whistle, the match officially began. Sporting Lisbon indeed adopted a 3-2-2-3 formation, which surprised many commentators. They initially thought Maxa was using a feint, but it turned out that a top tactical master like Maxa wouldn't stoop to lying. 9 shallow, 1 deep, no, 9 true, 1 false. The deception is real, and the real is deceptive. Warfare is based on deception. Sporting Lisbon's opponent today was Beira-Mar, a relegation-threatened team in the Portuguese league. In terms of player ability, despite Sporting Lisbon fielding so many young faces, they were still clearly superior. After 3 minutes of probing, the ball remained at Sporting Lisbon's feet. However, 5 minutes later, Beira-Mar, who had been compressed into the penalty area, gradually broke out again, creating a 50-50 situation with Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon has made too many mistakes recently, and their attack mainly relies on Quaresma, but Beira-Mar has clearly studied this future Figo. In both football and basketball, there are many players who are very strong in their first season but then fall silent. The NBA calls this the rookie wall, referring to a situation where a promising young player loses their threat and can no longer perform at a high level after being specifically marked. Quaresma dominated a season in the Portuguese league, and his characteristics were well understood. Crucially, Jardel left, allowing Beira-Mar to confidently target him. Quaresma's ball handling ability under high-intensity pressure had improved to some extent. But unfortunately, this season they changed their formation. He was fine playing slowly, but once the pace quickened, his unfamiliarity with teammates, formation, positioning, and teamwork led to frequent passing errors. Once the opponent intercepted him, they could immediately launch a counter-attack. Fortunately, Deng Kai was on that side, and he and Deschamps behind him possessed excellent interception abilities, resolving most of the crises. The most dangerous moment was when the ball passed through Deschamps, but was thwarted by Barzagli during a one-on-one duel between Beira-Mar's striker and Beira-Mar's forward. For the first 30 minutes, both sides' attacks and defenses were largely ineffective. Beira-Mar's problem was a lack of player ability. Sporting Lisbon's problem was team disarray. But in the 35th minute, Deng Kai, having discerned and grasped the situation, made the first change. He launched a long pass, breaking the team's long passing loop and directly targeting the large gap behind the opponent's right back on the left flank. Ronaldo surged forward, engaging the right back in a fierce battle, ultimately getting to the ball first before being intercepted. The referee awarded a free kick. The location was not far from the corner flag, making it a very dangerous free kick. Deng Kai ran over and gestured for his teammates to come and contest the header. Chapter 267. The whole team is gradually getting into the swing of things. Players like Deschamps and Mathos, older and less athletic, were positioned outside the penalty area and near the center circle, respectively, battling for second balls or preventing counter-attacks. Deng Kai raised 3 fingers and then took the free kick. Bang! On the edge of the penalty area, players surged into the box, leaping high in a frenzy for the header. Among them, a powerful figure soared high. Bang! Goal. Sporting Lisbon scores in the 36th minute. The goal was scored by the team's new signing, Andrea Barzagli. Incredible. This player from the lower leagues of Italy has contributed Sporting Lisbon's first goal of the season. He's only 19 years old, and his transfer fee is just €200,000, making him almost Sporting Lisbon's cheapest player. Just over a year ago, he was playing as a center forward. He has a goal-scoring instinct that most center-backs don't possess. Of course, a goal from a set piece is largely thanks to the coach's training in this area. This is the foundation a top club should have. Everyone should thank Maxa. As for the true ability of these players and Triguero's true coaching level, we'll have to see their goals from open play. Wow! Maxa was sitting on the bench, and the reward fell from the sky. His relaxed posture was interpreted by fans as confidence in today's game. But in reality, Maxa was so relaxed simply because he didn't have to rack his brains to come up with technical jargon to talk to coaches like Materazzi. He could lie down and relax. If the sky fell, the tall guys would hold it up. Right, Kai? A good start is better than a bad one. In the 42nd minute, Viana, with Ronaldo's help drawing defenders, gained space to advance. He attracted the attention of the defensive midfielder and center-back, and with a through ball, Drogba beat the offside trap and scored a powerful goal. It was a beautiful goal, but unfortunately, Drogba was offside before Viana passed a ball. He ran a little too early. There's still a significant problem with their understanding. Drogba looked somewhat dejected. He was even preparing to celebrate with a knee slide. In the 45th minute, Deng Kai delivered a clever pass to Quaresma. Quaresma spun around on the right flank like lightning, drawing the attention of 3 defenders. Deng Kai then made a run down the wing. Quaresma saw Deng Kai and, in his haste, passed the ball. Deng Kai, without stopping the ball, crossed it directly. His technique was quite elegant. Drogba jumped high, but missed. The ball flew too fast. Drogba had never seen such a fast cross before. That wasn't even a sincere pass. If the curve hadn't been off, he would have shot directly. Bang! Behind Drogba, Ronaldo, cutting inside without the ball, was blocked from view by Drogba. But his understanding with Deng Kai was undeniable. He simply stretched out his head, didn't need to exert any force, and the ball bounced into the net. It was a powerful header. 2-0. Sporting Lisbon scores again before halftime. This is the CD connection between Deng Kai and Ronaldo. That old CD is back. Now, the problem was thrown to the home fans of Sporting Lisbon. They had even booed Deng Kai at the start. But now, Deng Kai had already assisted twice. Ronaldo had also scored. This seemed no worse than when Jardel was there. Sparse applause rang out. It was clear that many fans were still arguing with Deng Kai. During halftime, Trigueiro didn't say much about tactics. The team was playing well, gradually finding their rhythm, and no further arrangements were needed. Even if the opponent makes a move, it's not a big deal. He believes Deng Kai can counter it, and that's what's important. Since Trigueiro has made Deng Kai the core player, even if the team's performance is poor in the first half of the season, he will firmly delegate authority to Deng Kai. Core players and star strikers are nurtured, not born from nothing. In the second half, Deng Kai indeed played freely. The opponent also noticed his tendency to push forward and specifically assigned someone to mark his forward runs. It seems that Deng Kai retreated for this reason, changing from a right attacking midfielder to defensive midfielder. Deschamps, who was originally the defensive midfielder, moved to the right, essentially becoming a right wing back, but only responsible for distributing the ball, not for pushing forward. If Deng Kai moved to the left, Deschamps would return to the defensive midfield position, forming a double defensive midfield with Deng Kai, and Matos, who was originally the left defensive midfielder, would move to the far left, acting as a left wing-back. This move by Deng Kai made the team's wide passing lanes more stable, forming a small, mobile point within the U-shaped formation that could form triangles with anyone, preventing the wide passing lanes from being blocked. Without Deng Kai's constant lateral movement, the opposing team's all-out pressing could potentially disrupt the wide passing lanes. In the 61st minute, Deng Kai suddenly played a through ball from the right flank. Quaresma, trapped in his own half, switched from playing with the ball to playing off the ball, successfully beating the offside trap, accelerating to chase the ball, and delivering a sweeping pass. Drogba, in a fierce battle with the opposing centre-back, was a step behind and his sliding shot missed the ball. However, at the far post behind Drogba, the team's left attacking midfielder, Viana, arrived in time, almost creating a double-team situation with Drogba. Bang! Viana leaped and reached for the ball. He and the ball flew into the opponent's goal. It was somewhat similar to the goal he scored after being injured in the European U16 tournament. But he obviously wouldn't be so easily hit by the goalpost this time. 3-0. My God. Is Sporting Lisbon on fire? Viana has even come all the way here. This was a long pass attack initiated directly from the backfield by Deng Kai. From the regular pass to this long pass, the attack suddenly accelerated. Quaresma's speed, ball control, and passing are all exquisite. Compared to Ronaldo, who is more lethal on the left but also has many weaknesses, Quaresma is too well-rounded. Viana's position is left attacking midfielder, but in the first half, he mainly operated in the left midfield, even slightly towards the defensive midfield position. He only moved up when Deng Kai dropped back in the second half. So he was easily overlooked. Otherwise, an attacking midfielder suddenly inserting himself into the penalty area is not a surprising move. With Deng Kai there, plus such a good lineup, as long as the opponent dares to come out, Sporting Lisbon can still score again. Beiramar's players were obviously intimidated by Deng Kai's sudden acceleration style of play. They began to retreat, not daring to rush out easily. Otherwise, Deng Kai's long pass would lead to another goal. This is what is called a metronome. A gearbox. As the opponent retreated, the long defensive line began to push forward, crossing the halfway line. Sporting Lisbon's attack intensified as a result. However, with space compressed, the passing threat was significantly reduced. This made close-range passing and individual dribbling skills even more crucial. P.S. Tonight's match saw neither side under much pressure, resulting in a less conservative playing style and a high-scoring affair. Modric, following instructions from manager Pavel Korla, held an overnight meeting with his teammates to unify their thinking, determine the main attacking strategy, and ultimately led Croatia to a 4-1 victory over Morocco. Chapter 268 German Canon, Swedish Scholar. Quaresma made a series of breakthroughs on the right, but his cut inside was blocked, so he passed the ball to Deng Kai. Deng Kai received the ball, let it pass, and easily avoided the opponent's challenge. Then, he followed a retreating Drogba and played a 1-2, getting past another player. Bang! Deng Kai chipped the ball to the left far post. Ronaldo once again broke into the penalty area without the ball. Even with the opponent's defense, he still managed to head the ball in a triangular pass. Drogba, like a beast, emerged, played a 1-2, turned, and rushed into the penalty area, unleashing a powerful shot. But he was eager to score, and Ronaldo's header wasn't particularly comfortable. After all, it's a miracle that Drogba even has a pass button. Don't expect him to pass well. Clang. The ball hit the crossbar and bounced back outside the penalty area. Matos received the ball 30 meters from the goal. He flicked the ball forward, arms outstretched. Deng Kai immediately ran towards the edge of the goal area. The German cannon was coming. Bang! The ball didn't have much of an arc from Matos' perspective. The ball even looked a little light. But that was because the trajectory of the ball was too straight. From behind, the difference in distance the ball traveled wasn't significant. Whoosh! The Beiramar goalkeeper made a spectacular diving save. It looked great in the highlight reel, but he didn't even touch the ball. The ball slammed into the net, creating a white splash. Goal. Matos. A super long-range shot. 4-0. Can you believe this is almost 40 years old? He could easily play for another 3 years. Achoo. Ronaldo always felt a little off when celebrating goals. It was as if he was allergic to that phrase. Okay, Sporting Lisbon is making a substitution. Making a substitution with such a large lead, it seems Trigura wants more players to come on and adapt to the game. Sure enough. Centre forward Drogba is being substituted, replaced by Swedish prodigy Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Drogba looked a little disappointed as he left the field. His tactical approach was quite effective, but it's clear he really wanted to score. Not scoring in his first Portuguese league match is indeed a pity, but judging from Sporting Lisbon's performance today, there will be many more opportunities to score. Deschamps is also going off, replaced by Pepe, Sporting Lisbon's low-priced summer signing. Deschamps, damn it, can we get a different commentator? 73rd minute. Pepe makes a fierce tackle, his appearance even reminding Methalis of a younger version of himself, 13 centimeters taller. Although his movements are still rough, it's clear that Pepe has already gained some experience in tackling and interception. Pepe passes the ball to Deng Kai. Deng Kai passes to Quaresma. Quaresma tries to dribble past his opponent, but the opponent remains unmoved. Quaresma passes back to Deng Kai. Facing pressure, Deng Kai passes back to Methalis. Bang! Methalis launches a long pass from the backfield. There are many players in football whose names begin with Ma, but perhaps only Maradona ranks ahead of Methalis. In fact, many say the early 1990s were the era of Maradona and Methalis, the two superstars. Although their future footballing status differed greatly, Maradona repeatedly mentioned Methalis, calling him his best rival. This shows the power of titles and publicity. The gap between the number 1 and number 2 in an industry might be greater than the gap between number 2 and number 100. Because in any industry, perhaps only one person can truly stand out. When we memorize various points of knowledge, we mostly only remember the most. That troll who mentioned Mount K2, please leave, you fake fanboy. Quaresma starts his run on the right wing. His ball control is excellent, so after losing the initiative, the opponent didn't press aggressively, preventing him from immediately dribbling past them after receiving the ball. If you encounter a player with poor ball control, the defender can press forward to put psychological pressure on them. This will greatly increase the probability of the opponent making a mistake in controlling the ball due to lack of confidence. Sure enough, Quaresma controlled the ball perfectly, and it dribbled around his feet. Bang! Quaresma passed the ball to Ibrahimovic, who was coming to receive it. The defender behind Ibrahimovic immediately rushed from the side, attempting to make a tackle. Because Ibrahimovic is almost 1.95 meters tall. Such a tall guy is obviously a rough guy. A circling tackle would definitely make him cry for his mother. However, Ibrahimovic turned the rolling ball and used the Marseille's turn against the defender. The center-back was dumbfounded. He quickly adjusted his footing to chase after Ibrahimovic. Ibrahimovic was facing the goal on the right side of the penalty area. He had clearly shaken off the center-back, but he deliberately turned the ball to the right. It was almost like letting the ball slip under the feet of the chasing center-back. The center-back stretched out his leg again. This was a tackle delivered to him. A flick and a cut. Ibrahimovic's move to the right was a feint. His true intention was to enter the penalty area from the left. If he had moved like that from the start, the opponent's desperate defensive effort might have affected him, since Ibrahimovic's Marseille's turn is performed on the outside, while the opponent is on the inside, giving him a distance advantage. But now, Ibrahimovic's quick turn not only slowed down the pursuing opponent but also tricked them into losing their balance. Now, whatever Ibrahimovic did, the opponent could only watch helplessly. This style of play, those elegant footwork, those shifts and weight and dribbling, is this really not Quaresma? Bang! Facing the last center-back, Ibrahimovic passed the ball across the edge of the penalty area. Deng Kai had already moved into that position. Bang! Deng Kai received the ball and immediately played a through ball. Ibrahimovic touched the ball and continued forward, the two playing a 1-2, getting past the center-back who was unsure whether to go left or right. Ibrahimovic one-on-one. Bang! Ibrahimovic barely adjusted his foot, and with his right foot, he chipped the ball over the goalkeeper as he rushed out. The ball went around the goalkeeper and into the net. The whole process felt smooth. The tall and imposing Ibrahimovic, even his final shot, exuded an elegance that could be described as refined. Goal. My God. 5-0. Sporting Lisbon is playing like monsters. Let's congratulate Ibrahimovic. He scored less than 3 minutes after coming on. So smooth. Drogba proved he's a replacement for Jardel. Whether he scores or not, his role in the team is no less important than Jardel's. Everyone thought Ibrahimovic was just another replacement for Drogba, but his playing style is completely different. His footwork is incredibly soft. To be honest, Ibrahimovic's dribbling is much better than Duncan's and Ronaldo's. The different styles of Ibrahimovic and Drogba will bring more possibilities to Sporting Lisbon's future playing style. Those who question Trigueira's decision to buy two similar centre-forwards can shut up now. Every penny spent on Trigueira was truly worthwhile. Chapter 269, I'll take away all your woes with one game. After scoring, Ibrahimovic raised his hands high, brimming with confidence. But upon seeing Deng Kai, he immediately pointed at him, genuinely surprised that Deng Kai had just delivered a through ball to him when he was unmarked and could have easily taken a long-range shot. So selfless. Oh. Hat-trick. Deng Kai has completed an assist hat-trick. From the Portuguese second division to the Portuguese first division, he seems to have no trouble adapting. Many people previously thought Deng Kai wasn't capable of starting in the Portuguese first division, but now, he seems more than just a starter, he's like the core of this team. Anyone who understands football could see this. Sporting Lisbon fans couldn't hold back any longer, many starting to applaud. Although their expressions weren't entirely willing, they had to congratulate Deng Kai on a great game. They were angry because Deng Kai had forced Jardel out, and Jardel brought victories to the team. If Deng Kai could prove the team was better off without Jardel, then everyone would undoubtedly cheer for him again. Everyone's goal was the same, there were no irreconcilable conflicts. There was no need to feel that changing one's attitude was a loss of face. Everyone was reasonable. 81st minute. Ibrahimovic dropped back. Viana tried to play a 1-2 with Ibrahimovic, but he was tightly marked. At this point, the ball was in considerable danger at Ibrahimovic's feet because he couldn't find a passing option. With any other striker, this would likely have resulted in a loss of possession. Even Jardel, at best, could only hold off opponents for a while before being surrounded by more defenders and ultimately losing possession. But Ibrahimovic demonstrated his formidable ball control. With his back to the goal, he dribbled towards midfield, simultaneously swatting away the defender's hand. Creating a slight distance, he immediately turned and dribbled laterally. As is well known, lateral dribbling is very risky. Losing possession could give the opponent a great counter-attack opportunity. Most center-forwards are prohibited from lateral dribbling by their teams because their technique is rough, their pace is too slow, and lateral dribbling makes them too easy to dispossess. At this moment, another defender closed in. Facing the double team, Ibrahimovic surprisingly pulled the ball back and flicked it past the defender, nutmegging him. Then, shaking off both defenders, he advanced with the ball, making a quick counter-attack towards the opponent's penalty area. After Ibrahimovic broke free, a gap appeared in the opposing defense, forcing the center-back to step up. Ibrahimovic seized the opportunity and passed to Quaresma. He then accelerated forward, getting behind the center-back. Ibrahimovic was a substitute and young, even if he wasn't known for his sprinting, his speed wasn't slow at this moment. The center-back knew he couldn't keep up with Ibrahimovic and had no choice but to foul him. The referee blew his whistle, awarding a yellow card for the foul. This yellow card was a testament to Ibrahimovic's individual ability. You could understand him playing like that at 1.75 meters tall, but at 1.95 meters, it was truly outrageous. Quaresma took the free kick. The position was perfect for him to shoot directly. 10 seconds later, cheers erupted from the stadium. Quaresma's free kick found the back of the net. 6-0. My God. Sporting Lisbon has topped the Portuguese league table. Their goal difference is too big. Trigueira and Maxija have brought new energy to this team. A youth storm is brewing. Quaresma must thank Ibrahimovic. Without Ibrahimovic, there would have been no free kick. After this goal, Sporting Lisbon should theoretically have played more conservatively to avoid injuring their players. But in reality, whether to intensify the attack or retreat after taking a significant lead depends on the situation. If the opponent has completely lost their fighting spirit, then continuing to attack is fine. If you deliberately slow down the pace at this point, it will awaken the opponent's fighting spirit, thereby increasing the intensity of their defense and attack. This is like many people who dare not fight back against a fierce enemy, but always make excessive demands on a reasonable and strong person. Human nature is something that needs to be understood. Under Deng Kai's command, Sporting Lisbon continue their offensive. Not particularly fierce, but the continuous attacks left Beira-Mar unable to retaliate. They had no other thoughts on their minds except hoping the game would end quickly. 88th minute. Quaresma crosses from the wing. But the ball is deflected by the opponent, not high enough. Ibrahimovic can't head it, so he leans on the opponent, taking a favorable position to control the ball with his chest. Then, before the ball falls, he chips it over the top. A backheel flick and cutback. Ibrahimovic knows he can't chip the ball too close to the goal, otherwise the opposing goalkeeper will catch it. He consciously sends the ball to the most dangerous place. If someone is at the penalty spot, this will be. Bang! Deng Kai, who has broken into the penalty area, makes a diving header, daring to head the ball before the opposing centre-back. The diving header greatly increases the speed of the ball, and this header is like a loaded bullet. Swish! Goal. The 7th goal. Insane. 7-0. Deng Kai has scored the 7th goal of the match. 1 goal and 3 assists. He's on fire. This formation has become Deng Kai's personal showcase. Defense, playmaking, assists, goals, he can do it all. Ibrahimovic came off the bench and completed a goal and an assist. He's definitely worth €3 million. No wonder Arsenal once considered buying him. Oh. Deng Kai's running towards the corner flag. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Deng Kai ran while pointing towards the fans at the corner flag, as if saying to these fans, everyone's here. He leaped high, turning 180 degrees in midair. The more than 40,000 fans in the stadium could no longer contain themselves. They shouted along with Deng Kai, "Siu." The Alvalade Stadium was a dream come true, reminiscent of the UEFA Youth League a year ago. The fans were chanting Kaiser's name wildly. From this moment on, the mark Jardel left on this team with his 38 goals in a year was completely erased by Deng Kai in one match. This young Sporting Lisbon team took away the hopes of all Portuguese fans in just one match. After the game, Deng Kai was named man of the match. Reporters were in a frenzy, full of curiosity about this brand new team. Reporter: Deng Kai, did you expect to win this match with such an incredible 7-0 score? Deng Kai: yes. Reporter: yes, since you didn't expect it, can you tell us, did you? Deng Kai: yes, we accept any score. Our squad is very strong, not just against Beira-Mar, but against other strong teams. We have no doubt about our scoring ability. Reporter: you seem very confident. What do you think are the differences between the Portuguese Primeira Liga and the Portuguese Second Division? Chapter 270. The star player falls from grace, Drogba's story. Deng Kai: it's easier to score in the Portuguese league. Just kidding. The level of competition in the Portuguese league is indeed much higher than in the Portuguese Second Division, but fortunately, my team and I are able to adapt to this pace. Reporter: 7 of your players scored in this match, but none of your players are in the top 5 of the scoring charts. How do you view this situation? Deng Kai: this reflects our strong ability to create chances right now. Almost everyone has a chance to score. So our opponents should be careful. Any one of our players can change the score. Reporter: but does this also mean you lack players with explosive scoring ability? Deng Kai laughed. How explosive is explosive? Actually, both Quaresma and Ronaldo had many scoring opportunities in this match, and even Ibrahimovic had multiple chances. If they had taken all the opportunities, they could certainly be on the scoring charts, like Jardel. But then we definitely wouldn't have scored 7 goals. In my opinion, team honors are more important than individual honors. I believe others share the same thought. Sporting Lisbon returns to the top of the league table after 3 years. 7-0, the biggest scoreline of the season. 7-0 crush on Beira-Mar. Sporting Lisbon returns to the throne. The wind rises in Alvalade. 11 players under 20. Sporting Lisbon unleashes a youth storm. 1 shot and 3 assists. Sporting Lisbon tops the assist chart in their first match of the Portuguese league. A hat-trick of assists helps the team achieve a club historic victory. While people were still discussing whether Deng Kai and Ronaldo were just training or substitutes, they have already become starters and even core players. Quaresma had the most dribbles in the match, highlighting his core role. Viana perfectly integrates into the team, delivering a core-level performance. Font: Sporting Lisbon's lowest rating in this match had a higher rating than Beira-Mar's highest rating. The Ballon d'Or never fades. Matheus fires another powerful shot, leading the young players to the top of the Portuguese league. After a season of silence, Sporting Lisbon has finally become the darling of the media again. From now on, their every move will be the subject of discussion. Ling. You've won a match, your rating is SSS. Received 30 basic rewards and the player dropped Drogba slide. Drogba slide. The slide is the most common and classic celebration move in football, with Drogba slide being the most widely known. Gain the blue player level skill Savage Charge. There's a chance to leave 3 stripes while sliding. Savage Charge. Your physical strength is increased when you dribble forward. The so-called basic rewards are random drops of blue fragments, training stakes, medical bandages, etc. Deng Kai was originally expecting a drop from Matthäus or Ibrahimovic. Unexpectedly, it was Drogba who was straightforward in the end. And he gave the iconic celebration move. There are many legends about Drogba's 3 stripes. The scientific explanation is that Drogba's hind foot was placed sideways, causing the toes and heel to plow the grass, thus creating 3 stripes. But the most talked about explanation is that Drogba's little brother was too exaggerated. 3 stripes correspond to 3 legs, which makes perfect sense, right? This skill certainly won't increase the length of specific parts. But it has a chance to make Deng Kai sliding knees display a mysterious 3 stripes. This, if Deng Kai scores before Drogba later, then he can only apologize to Drogba. 3 stripes in football, I'm afraid only Deng Kai has them. The brute force tackle is also a very practical skill. This skill sounds crude, but almost every top midfield maestro possesses this ability. Whether you're the seemingly delicate Modric, the slightly thin De Jong, or the strong De Bruyne, the powerful Pogba, etc., the ability to withstand physical contact during a forward run is the foundation for their ability to break free. A midfielder who falls over at the slightest touch will never become a good midfielder. Kai, let's go. Outside the villa, Ronaldo called out to Deng Kai while juggling the ball. Behind him were Drogba, Ibrahimovic, Barzagli, Pepe, Terry, and others. This was Sporting Lisbon's extra training group. Initially, these people all lived in the players' dormitory. However, because they often trained together and would grab a bite to eat afterward, their relationship grew closer, and Cristiano Ronaldo invited everyone to stay at his rented villa. Unlike Deng Kai, Ronaldo still had a financial burden to bear the cost of the villa. So, seeing that everyone was satisfied with their accommodations, he suggested they share the place. After discussing it, they agreed that the cost wasn't high, but the conditions were much better than the player dormitories. Every morning, they would run to the stadium together with their balls. Of course, they took a pedestrian path, a distance from the main road, posing no safety hazards. Coming. Deng Kai, carrying a football, went out the door and joined the others, carrying the ball to the training field. Along the way, many people were taking pictures. Some even followed behind them with their footballs, clearly influenced by their example. Running to the training field with the ball was a long-standing habit for Deng Kai and Ronaldo. With their 7-goal victory in the Portuguese league, their fame grew. This story, which had initially only circulated locally, began to attract more people. The government was even planning a dedicated football greenway to encourage and commemorate this act, while also developing it into a new tourist attraction. It must be said that in Europe, if you play football well, there are countless possibilities. Of course, some professional players oppose this kind of showmanship, believing that this level of dribbling doesn't help professional players at all. The media has also stopped Deng Kai and asked him similar questions. Deng Kai stated, aside from pure imagination, any behavior that is displayed can be considered a show, the difference being whether the impact is good or bad. If we can get more children to love football, let them run and jump outside after playing video games, and let more people who are not involved in football gain a simple understanding of the sport through this method, then why shouldn't we do it? Whether this method is effective or not is not important. Ronaldo, and everyone else have put in a lot of effort beyond just dribbling. We have professional training methods, we don't just dribble like that and that's it. But we can't expect all ordinary football enthusiasts to use those professional, boring, and difficult training methods. That would diminish the enthusiasm of normal people for football. As the world's #1 sport, football needs both high-level, sophisticated matches to retain fans and more innovative promotional methods to maintain and expand its base. These are not contradictory. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271 The competition between Ibrahimovic and Drogba. Anyone who really wants to further develop their skills can join Sporting Lisbon's Youth Academy. Or join my Maxa Football Advanced Training Camp. A 7-day trial version is only €998. A 19-day extended version is €1,999. There's also a superstar coaching version, where you'll have the chance to meet world-class superstars in addition to Portuguese league stars. Wow! Maxa hasn't even become the head coach yet, but he's already the camp leader. But Maxa is very interested in this business collaboration. Since he doesn't have to do much in the first team anyway, it's great to be able to do some side business and make some easy money. It's basically just gathering some unemployed football coaching staff together and copying Sporting Lisbon's training methods. This seems like a small-scale operation that won't make much money. But Sporting Lisbon's cooperation in China is basically just this. It's just that the scale is larger, the personnel are more professional, and the equipment is top-notch. Deng Kai said this would be good for Maxa's future, and after Maxa figured out the key points, he cried for several hours. Kai Xiao has paved the way for his future for the next decade or so. Father, I have no way to repay you, so I'll just make you another bowl of your favorite brown sugar glutinous rice cakes. September 13th, the second round of the Portuguese League begins. Sporting Lisbon plays away against Leiria. Ibrahimovic, who is in excellent form in the last match, is in the starting lineup, and the rest of the players haven't changed much. However, after a hard-fought first half, Ibrahimovic's performance did not meet everyone's expectations. He's too obsessed with his footwork. He could easily handle the ball, but he insists on dribbling for a while longer. And his physical strength isn't as strong as he appears. He's actually a bit thin. With his height, if he gains weight, it will definitely affect his speed and agility, and then he won't be able to continue playing the style he likes. At this stage, Ibrahimovic is somewhat similar to the future beer-bellied winger Lukaku, but Ibrahimovic is the luxurious version. During halftime, Trigura directly substituted Ibrahimovic. Of course, he didn't say anything harsh to Ibrahimovic. A loud drum doesn't need a heavy hammer, and it wasn't a crucial moment yet. There was plenty of time to gradually train Ibrahimovic. If he really couldn't change, remaining Drogba's substitute wasn't unacceptable. After all, Drogba was quite useful. Ibrahimovic, damn it. In the second half, with Drogba's entry, the situation changed significantly. At least with the same number of opportunities, the waste was reduced. What kind of player is the team most afraid of? Players without talent? Definitely not. Workhorses have their advantages. Look at Deschamps, he's still quite useful. The most feared are players who seem decent. What does that mean? It means those who have the courage to try dribbling, but whose success rate is inconsistent, and who, once their dribbling isn't going smoothly, can't actively adjust themselves. They often have ingenious passing ideas, but their success rate is low. Sometimes the pass is too long, sometimes too short, or sometimes it doesn't even come through. They have a decent shot, but their timing for shooting isn't particularly good, or rather, they lack the accompanying intention, etc. In short, these are players who seem like the core of the team, but whose performance is inconsistent or under pressure against strong opponents. These pseudo-core players are often the key reason for losses. Take Ibrahimovic in the first half as a simple example. How did the ball reach his feet? It was passed through a series of passes from the backfield workers, and some unconventional passes from Quaresma, Duncan, and Viana. After all these steps, if you're a worker, you could simply pass the ball back, reducing the ball's trajectory from the 7th step to the 6th, not a significant loss. But Ibrahimovic frequently tried to use his footwork to get past opponents or create fancy plays. If the opponent disrupted his attempts, the ball went from the 7th step to the 0th step, or even the negative 7th step. The team then had to spend considerable time and effort to regain possession and get the ball back in that position. It's not that any opportunity should be wasted. A threatening attack itself involves wasting opportunities. But not everyone should step up and squander them. Even when it comes to squandering opportunities, it should be left to the most reliable player, Quaresma, with the highest success rate, and even if he fails, it's unlikely to result in a goal conceded. Or, the player with the most specific purpose should be the one to squander the opportunity, Ronaldo, torturing the ankles and stamina of the opposing player, preparing for a dominant performance in the second half. Ibrahimovic's approach is pure scrambling. Many seemingly talented or outstanding players can only play as substitutes or surprise players in top clubs, probably for similar reasons. This is also why substitutes for key players are less likely to stand out than substitutes for workhorses. If you become a substitute, it only means your ceiling isn't high enough. Even if the key player isn't performing well, the team will most likely find a new key player, rather than promoting you. But many workhorse substitutes are promoted, it doesn't matter who they use. In the Qatar World Cup match between Portugal and Morocco, a midfielder delivered about 3 through balls from the right side of the penalty area between the penalty area and the corner flag. These all seemed like brilliant ideas. Teammates could receive the ball near the byline unmarked, run into the penalty area, cross, or cut back. All 3 passes were, unfortunately, too long, and teammates couldn't catch up. This directly gave the opponent a chance to waste time with a goal kick, making things even worse for Portugal, who were already under pressure. A back pass would have been far more helpful. Before this match, similar situations had occurred 2 or 3 times. This shouldn't be a problem of unfamiliarity between players, it's a problem with the passing player's ability. This passing player wasn't Bruno Fernandes, although Fernandes also made similar passes from that position. Can you say he performed poorly? Being able to think of it is already quite good, surpassing many others. But sometimes, thinking of something but not being able to execute it is worse than not thinking of it at all. This Ibrahimovic's ability, when targeted, still needs improvement. In the 57th minute, the long-range tactic advanced to Quaresma's position. Quaresma dribbled skillfully and passed to the on-rushing Deng Kai. Deng Kai, without stopping the ball, directly passed it to Drogba ahead. Drogba, also without stopping the ball, passed it to his right side, where he was open. The advancing Deng Kai easily picked up the ball. The centre-back behind Drogba quickly marked Deng Kai, but he was a step too slow and could only catch up slightly. But he felt it was enough. His body leaned towards Deng Kai, and upon contact, Deng Kai swayed slightly, but it barely affected his dribbling, as he slipped into the edge of the penalty area. Deng Kai's physical contact wasn't as weak as his opponent had imagined. Chapter 272 The True Vision of Kai. Another centre-back, focused intently on Deng Kai, watched him closely. Deng Kai slightly changed his direction with the touch of the ball. The opponent seized this opportunity and charged forward, making physical contact with Deng Kai. A centre-back defending a smaller player simply uses his body to press down. In this situation, even if the opponent falls, the referee usually won't call a defensive foul. Bang! Deng Kai stumbled. The brutal collision took effect again. But the ball still wasn't completely out of his control. Ironically, the confident centre-back hadn't expected the recoil to be so strong, and his reaction was a fraction of a second slower. Bang! Using his falling posture, Deng Kai adjusted himself and unleashed a powerful shot. The goalkeeper couldn't have predicted that Deng Kai could still complete a shot under such circumstances. This meant that his centre-back's impact hadn't disrupted his balance. Was his physical strength really that strong? Swish! The ball went into the net. Goal. Drogba. Drogba has finally broken the deadlock for the team. Drogba's 1-2 is a brilliant move, simple yet effective. Compared to Ibrahimovic's flashy but ineffective style of play in the first half, Drogba's pragmatic approach is clearly more suited to Sporting Lisbon. Oh, Drogba runs towards the corner flag, a beautiful sliding knee celebration. He rarely makes such a simple celebration. Wait, why are there 3 stripes where Drogba slid? His knee would leave a mark, so there should be 2 stripes, right? For a moment, the fans fell into deep thought. Then, a female fan was the first to wake up. My God! Could it be? I finally understand why Hathaway is pursuing Drogba. Isn't this a bit too early? Drogba is only 15. He's developed early, 15 is about right. But does Drogba look like he's developed early? Everyone was quite happy. Only Drogba, who had provided an assist, seemed lost in thought. He felt like he had lost something. 67th minute. Leiria attempted a counter-attack, orchestrating an attack through careful passing. Unfortunately, Matos proved to be the dominant force, deceiving the passer with a beautiful defensive feint and then intercepting the ball behind the advancing player. Bang! Matos's pass was far from ineffective, launching a long counter-attack. Matos was the primary playmaker in this team's defense, followed by Deschamps and Duncan. Ronaldo, on the left flank, dribbled into the attacking third and decisively cut inside. He spotted Viana in a better position. Ronaldo passed back to Viana and then surged forward in the center. He and Drogba formed a double-pronged attack. Viana brilliantly chipped the ball to the far post. Quaresma arrived in time and delivered a cross. Drogba overshot his head. Ronaldo arrived just in time and tapped the ball in. 2-0. Matthäus launched a counter-attack. Viana orchestrated the attack. Quares delivered a first-time volley, and Ronaldo scored with a mid-air tap-in. The entire sequence was absolutely brilliant. That's the spark of genius. Ibrahimovic listened irritably to the commentators rambling from the bench. Whipping a dead man? What does "that's the spark" even mean? Is that pull and tap even interesting? After the goal, Trigueiro made a bold substitution. Pepe and Paulo Bento both came on, replacing Matthäus and Deschamps. This was also Bento's first start of the season for this French player from Portugal's golden generation. And he lived up to his reputation as the future godfather of South Korean football. Less than 5 minutes after entering the game, Bento contributed a failed sliding tackle. Pepe tackled to stop the opponent, receiving a yellow card and giving away a perfectly positioned free kick. Leiria scored from that free kick, pulling one back. This immediately excited the Leiria fans. There's still hope. Trigueiro watched from the sidelines speechless. Bento is a low-budget version of Deschamps, lacking even basic passing ability. Pepe is a stretched but underutilized version of Matthäus. Matthäus's movement is about filling gaps, while Pepe's is more like robbing Peter to pay Paul, leaving numerous openings. The problem isn't a lack of mobility, but rather a lack of defensive experience. In the 81st minute, Leiria continued their attack. Font blocked passing lanes, Terry pressed forward, and the two combined to successfully steal the ball. Terry passed to Viana, who then passed to Duncan. Duncan dribbled forward, and after encountering resistance, feigned a pass to Quaresma, but actually made a feint before turning and passing with his left foot to Ronaldo, who was taking off on the left wing. Ronaldo received the ball, dribbled a couple of steps, and then crossed directly. Drogba took off inside the penalty area, heading the ball powerfully, showing his determination to score. But sometimes, too much force is a mistake. Due to the excessive power, the ball went slightly high, hitting the crossbar and bouncing back to the edge of the penalty area. Deng Kai, poised to shoot, seemed ready with a left-footed effort. But a quick glance revealed no clear shooting path within the penalty area. Bang! Deng Kai controlled the ball with a heavy touch, then swung it sideways. The ball flew parallel to the goal towards the right side of the penalty area. Quaresma rushed in and unleashed a powerful outside-of-the-foot shot with his right foot. The force of Deng Kai's long-range shot froze several defenders in place. Quaresma faced a solid wall of defense. He had found his shooting path, but it required a gamble, or rather, a stroke of luck. Bang! The ball curved dramatically, unexpectedly finding its way into the net. Drogba, incredulous, clutched his head. I couldn't even head the ball in with my steady header, and this ridiculous outside-of-the-foot shot went in? God, this is unfair. Luck is shared by everyone, and Quaresma has got 8/10 of it, huh? 3-1. Deng Kai's pass was great, Quaresma's shot was even better. That's the ability of Sporting Lisbon star player. Quaresma's outside-of-the-foot shot is simply divine. The Sporting Lisbon players are celebrating together. After the celebration, Ronaldo spread his hands, seemingly saying something to Drogba, probably feeling that Drogba wasted his brilliant pass. It's indeed a pity, Ronaldo doesn't make a single pass easy. And he didn't even get an assist, how frustrating. In stoppage time, Drogba was fouled in the penalty area, winning a penalty. Wanting to prove himself, Drogba stared intently at the ball, undoubtedly wanting to try. Deng Kai saw Drogba's thoughts and stepped forward, saying, Drogba, I know you want to score. If this penalty were mine, I would let you take it. But Deng Kai then reached out his hand. Drogba, reminded, realized his mistake and reluctantly handed the ball to Deng Kai. Deng Kai then turned and passed the ball to Quaresma. After Jardel's departure, the team's first-choice penalty taker is clearly their star player, Quaresma. However, this brief exchange has led many to realize that the team's true leader might be Deng Kai. P.S. World Cup Final. Here's the correct answer. The last time Croatia won third place, the champion was France. France is a sure bet against Argentina. The only suspense is whether it's a big win or narrow one. Argentina scores first, France wins narrowly. France scores first, France wins big. Peach and Bap discussed it, and the final consensus is France 6-1 Argentina. Chapter 273 UEFA Cup. The choice of the second penalty taker was difficult, as it was between Viana and Ronaldo. Viana, a veteran of the youth academy, had developed stars ahead of Ronaldo and even joined the first team a year earlier. However, Ronaldo and Duncan, as rising stars, were simply too popular. In terms of popularity, only Quaresma could easily surpass these two prodigies. And that was just a single win. The combined momentum of Ronaldo and Duncan was definitely not inferior to Quaresma. Giving the penalty to Ronaldo would be reasonable, as he is also a super striker, but Viana couldn't quite maintain the pride. Therefore, Trigueros ultimately chose Methoz, the Ballon d'Or winner, and no one could object. As for the third penalty taker, Viana didn't think much of it, so it went to Ronaldo. Considering that Methoz is willing to be substituted unless in a crucial match, Ronaldo's third penalty taker was essentially the second. Quaresma, receiving the ball from Duncan, nodded and then scored, completing his brace. With 3 goals, he became the team's top scorer. The team's midfield and attack are currently in full bloom, with everyone except Drogba scoring. After the match, the media was abuzz with celebration. Sporting Lisbon won 4-1, maintaining their top spot in the standings. With a goal difference of 10, it will be difficult for any team to surpass them in the short term. The truth about Hathaway's relationship exposed. Is the Three Stripes Deng Kai's fatal attraction? A regular Portuguese league match shouldn't have attracted so much attention. But this news shocked the entire North American region. Many American men publicly deny the rumors, saying that Deng Kai couldn't possibly be that strong. But American women were more inclined to believe that Deng Kai used the nutrients for his height growth elsewhere, which seemed plausible. Fortunately, Hathaway was already filming on set and isolated from the world, otherwise, reporters would definitely have questioned her about the truth. Hathaway, I also want to know the truth about that as soon as possible. After the second round of the league, Sporting Lisbon didn't have a break. Just 3 days later, they faced their first European match. Oh no, it should be said that this group of young people faced their first European match. The squad included players like Duncan, Ronaldo, Drogba, Ibrahimovic, Barzagli, Pepe, Font, and Terry, as well as Viana. Quaresma, however, had already played in the Europa League last season. The team made it out of the group stage but then faltered. Viana was injured in the first half of last season, and by the time he returned in the second half, the team had already been eliminated from the Europa League, thus missing out on European competition. At that time, the Europa League was still called the UEFA Cup, having just incorporated the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup. It wasn't the Europa League we know today, but the meaning was similar. The differences lay in the format and entry requirements. Sporting Lisbon was drawn into the same group as Gaziantep Sporting, Turkish Superliga, Lillestrøm, Norwegian Eliteserien, and Anderlecht, Belgian First Division. The group stage consisted of a double round-robin format. Each team played 3 other teams, home and away. There were 6 matches in total, with the top team advancing directly to the knockout stage. The second-place team in each group will play a playoff against the third-place team eliminated from the Champions League group stage, with a winner advancing to the knockout stage. Over the past decade, Inter Milan has reached the UEFA Cup final 4 times, winning 3. Serie A teams have won 5 titles and reached the final 11 times, demonstrating Serie A's dominance. However, last year, no Serie A team reached the final. The finalists were Arsenal and Turkish Super League champions Galatasaray. And ultimately, it was the latter who lifted the trophy. Arsenal lost 1-4 on penalties. This was also the least prominent name among the series of top teams. For this reason, people are paying extra attention to teams from the Turkish Super League this year. Sporting Lisbon, the Portuguese Super League, hasn't had a team reach the UEFA Cup final in the last 10 or even 20 years. Their performance in European competitions hasn't earned them public trust. Moreover, the Portuguese Super League isn't a mainstream league, and public perception of it is relatively slow to evolve. Thanks to the Jardel deal this summer, people learned that Sporting Lisbon sold their star striker and brought in a large number of young players, completely rebuilding. As for the fighting power of such a team, returning to the top 4 within 3 years and challenging for the championship within 5 years would be considered a relatively smooth rebuild. So, is there any need to discuss the outcome? September 16th. Sporting Lisbon hosted their European opponent, Gaziantep Sporting, at their home stadium, The Alvalade Stadium. Sporting Lisbon's starting lineup remained largely unchanged today, with Drogba in the center-forward position. Despite not scoring in 2 consecutive matches, Drogba's impact on the field was undeniable. Choosing him for this match was also a signal from Trigura. Currently, Drogba's contribution to the team is significantly greater than Ibrahimovic's. In the players' tunnel, both teams lined up to enter the field. Cristiano Ronaldo, standing behind Deng Kai, suddenly felt something was off. "Hey, Kai, have you grown taller?" Deng Kai was taken aback. He had thought he would only grow taller during his second growth spurt, so why had he grown earlier? He'd have to measure himself when he got back. He'd probably be 1.7 meters tall by now. "What do you mean?" Deng Kai turned to look at Ronaldo. Ronaldo said, "I can't quite see the second vortex above your head anymore. I have to stand on tiptoe. I never used to do that." Deng Kai, MMP. Gaziantep Sporting is considered a strong team in the Turkish Super League, but their playing style is defensive counter-attacking, actively handing possession to Sporting Lisbon. This is because the 3 giants of the Turkish Super League, Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, and Beşiktaş, are known as retirement homes for stars. Top stars from the top 5 leagues often consider going to the Turkish Super League to make a quick buck a year or 2 before retiring. Their salaries there are generally 3 to 10 times their normal salaries. Why not take the chance? And the stars from the top 5 leagues are often far superior to other players in the Turkish Super League. This leads to most teams, except for the 3 giants, playing defensive counter-attacking football. Otherwise, are you planning to steal the ball from several Zidanes and engage in a head-to-head attack? Zidane. "I won't go to the Turkish Super League, thank you." In the first 20 minutes, Sporting Lisbon launched a series of attacks while maintaining a solid defense. Their wide circle tactic, while lacking in other areas, was known for its robust defense, making it difficult for weaker teams to exploit. Terry, Barzagli, and Matthäus easily defused the few dangerous situations that arose, leaving Font languishing at the back, with little chance to handle the crisis. Of course, when the ball actually reached Font, he was often unable to solve the problem. That's when Schmeichel was put to the test. In the 23rd minute, seeing that both flanks were struggling, Drogba dropped back. Ronaldo and Quaresma simultaneously cut towards the center. Viana moved to the left. Gaziantep's defensive coordination began to be tested. Chapter 274 Offensive opportunities also come in different tiers. Deng Kai made a wide pass to Viana, who was unmarked on the left flank. Viana controlled the ball and passed it back. With Ronaldo and Viana making consecutive runs, Viana's original left flank position was completely open. Matthäus made a run from deep and unleashed a powerful shot. The German cannon, when he doesn't fire, it's usually a deadly strike. Goal. Matthäus. Amazing. That long-range shot was stunning. Matthäus breaks the deadlock and gives Sporting Lisbon the lead. A long-range shot breaks the iron wall. In fact, after Gaziantep's 2 counterattacks failed to advance into the danger zone, we knew that the balance of victory had shifted to Sporting Lisbon. Under the siege, a goal was only a matter of time. With this goal, Sporting Lisbon had a much easier time from then on. In the 37th minute, Deng Kai and Quaresma switched positions. Viana passed a ball to Quaresma, who, after 2 consecutive passes with a pulled-out Drogba, played a through ball deep into the right side of the penalty area. Deng Kai and Quaresma thought of the same thing. He received the ball near the byline. Since he was already inside the penalty area, the opponent wouldn't dare foul him easily. Deng Kai caught up with the ball, pulled it back, and executed a Marseille's turn with his back to goal. The ball nutmegged the on-rushing centre-back, who moved along the byline towards the goal. Deng Kai and the opponent made a quick pass, and Deng Kai, running outside the byline, completed a beautiful nutmeg. Drogba rushed into the penalty spot to receive the ball. He was in excellent position. He dropped back and then surged forward, with no real defender around him. But everyone was watching Drogba, rushing towards him, or trying to block the cutback pass between Deng Kai and Drogba. Bang! Deng Kai watched as Drogba struck with his left foot. The ball went through the legs of the on-rushing centre-back. If Deng Kai had gone for Drogba, it would have been a perfect tackle. But Deng Kai. The ball swept across the goal, almost parallel to the goal. At its closest, it was less than a meter from the goalkeeper. If the goalkeeper had been prepared, he could have caught or cleared the ball. However, everyone's attention, including the goalkeeper's, was focused on Drogba. Who would have expected Deng Kai to make such an absurd cross from the goal? Especially since Deng Kai hadn't even fully crossed the byline when he passed the ball. His horizontal position overlapped with the goal post, and he couldn't see the goalkeeper at all. How could he be so sure that such a close pass wouldn't be caught? Too much thought was done in an instant. Bang! At the far post, Ronaldo, who had surged in, met the ball with a low shot. The angle wasn't great, but it was an open goal, so there was no need to consider the goalkeeper's reaction. Therefore, the shot was relatively easy. Goal. Ronaldo. Duncan assists Ronaldo to score. Beautiful combination. Duncan deceived the whole world, including his teammate Drogba. Drogba even prepared to shoot in advance. Only Ronaldo knows what Duncan was thinking. No wonder they've played together since their youth academy days. They have telepathy. 2-0. Sporting Lisbon extends their lead 41st minute. Quaresma's long-range shot from outside the penalty area won a corner for his team. His corner kick was headed by Drogba, but the ball hit a defender and was cleared. Another corner. Duncan took the corner, and Gaziantep, the centre-back, won the first header. Another corner. Consecutive corner kick attacks look powerful, but they are often a harbinger of conceding a goal. Duncan's corner kick this time not only had to consider attacking but also avoiding being contested by the opponent, so he couldn't make any risky attempts. This is why many teams, when winning multiple corner kicks in a row, tend to look for the same spot, making them seem rigid and lacking in variation. Stay put, stay safe. Deng Kai kicked the ball. Funt, Barzagli, Drogba, and Ronaldo in the middle jumped almost simultaneously, forming an aerial wall. Drogba jumped the highest and had the best luck. He found the ball. Swish. The ball went straight into the net. Drogba was ecstatic. This French player from Ivory Coast, the elephant of Africa, finally broke his goal drought, scoring another goal for his new team. Whistle. The linesman raised his flag. The referee blew his whistle, indicating the goal was disallowed. The referee believed Drogba had committed a clear attacking foul. He jumped so high because he had pushed over a defender and used him as a stepping stone to take off. Sporting Lisbon's players surrounded the referee, but they couldn't change his decision. Drogba was completely devastated. His first goal still hadn't come. But some players in the team's midfield and attack had already scored 2 or 3. He was anxious. In the last minute before halftime, 2 veteran players in the backfield showed off their skills. After a 1-2 with Deschamps, Matthäus dribbled past his defender and created a huge threat through the middle. Ronaldo, Viana, Drogba, Duncan, and Quaresma launched a 5-pronged attack. Matthäus casually directed the play. Duncan was slightly slower and deliberately positioned himself close to Drogba, seemingly the most tightly marked by a 2-on-1. But could a legendary midfielder like Matthäus not see Duncan's intentions? Bang! Matthäus played a through ball, directly to Drogba's feet. But the power and speed of the pass didn't seem designed for Drogba. It was too fast. If Drogba had a hasty touch, he might have made a poorly controlled pass. Oh dear, why would Matthäus pass like that? That's clearly unwise. Maxa, who now occasionally understood some football, thought Ronaldo on the left and Quaresma on the right were in much better positions. They were almost guaranteed to receive the ball. Or Viana could work. Viana is further away from Drogba, and the defenders in front of him would be closer to Drogba to cover the most threatening player. Trigueros shook his head in a low voice. Right now, Matthäus has the ball, and the attack has almost reached the 7th level. Passing it to Ronaldo or Quaresma would still put the attack at the 7th level, or even the 6th level. Every level can produce a shot, but the higher the level, the greater the probability of scoring. Don't be fooled by Ronaldo and Quaresma's deeper positions, which seem more dangerous. They're actually further out. Crosses from the wings are always less threatening than passes from the center. Giving it to Viana might elevate the attack to the 8th level. But the 8th level can be good or bad. Viana's right side center back seems closer to Drogba, but he's facing Viana. Before Viana even receives the ball, he can run in front of Viana, maintaining his position in a one-on-one situation. In this case, it depends on Viana's one-on-one ability or quick reaction time. Tactically, it's not a success. Chapter 275. The Big Elephant Can Dance, and Big Mouth Horse Isn't Old Yet. This pass found Viana, Drogba, and Duncan, 3 players positioned further forward in the middle, receiving the ball without tight marking. This attack can be considered a perfect 9th level play. Most players can accept a 7th to 6 pass. Core players aim for an 8th to 7 pass, or take a long-range shot if they're confident. But the best players can see and have the opportunity to aim for the 9th level. The camera captured this moment. To outsiders, Trigueros' head shake suggested Metholis's pass was wrong. Maxi, however, seemed to have a different opinion. Despite the banter, Drogba was also bewildered by the pass. Golden ball Metholis, you can aim for the highest level of passing, but I'm not the highest level receiver. He was likely to be criticized for the poor touch. Just as Drogba was racking his brains, a voice suddenly came from behind him. Don't touch it, I'll handle it. The voice came from his right rear, and unsurprisingly, the speaker was moving at high speed, suddenly surging forward. This is Trigueros' telephone assistant, the leader of the Alcochete training base, the interim sporting director of Sporting Lisbon's transfer window, my brother Kai. Drogba was about to stop the ball when he heard this voice and instinctively chose to believe it, raising his right leg and extending his left. The most tightly defended area centered on him directly created a gap in the middle, the same effect as a free kick breaking down the wall. The ball slipped through and headed straight for the goal. Bang! Hidden behind Drogba, Deng Kai started ahead of time, and when he couldn't stop the ball, he pushed hard with the inside of his right foot. He used the inside of his foot to prevent the ball from flying wide. The hard push used force to suppress the ball's original direction, creating control of the shot. This can be explained in table tennis. No matter if you have topspin or backspin, no matter if you pull or slice, no matter if you use a swallow return or a domineering twist, as long as you have enough strength, one swing will guarantee that you are not affected by any spin. This is called one force overpowering 10 techniques. Swish. The football pierced the net like a white streak, creating an exaggerated splash. The goalkeeper didn't even have time to react. From the pass to the dummy pass to the goal, it was all done in one smooth motion, a masterpiece of high-quality human teamwork. Drogba, is this even considered teamwork? Goal. 3-0. Metholis delivers another brilliant pass. Everyone says a through ball is like a scalpel, but Metholis's through ball is like a tomahawk missile. Drogba's dummy pass, though clumsy, like a big elephant dancing, was incredibly effective. No wonder even the Swedish prodigy Ibrahimovic was benched. Drogba's simple yet powerful style of play is amazing. Even though he doesn't score, he can help everyone score. Deng Kai and Metholis seem to have a telepathic connection. How come he always seems to have a telepathic connection with others? This young Sporting Lisbon team's first European competition should be a success. After half-time, Gaziantep Sporting clearly made tactical adjustments. Their defensive actions became much more aggressive. It seems they were reprimanded by the coach during half-time. In the 55th minute, Quaresma was brought down by a flying tackle after a series of dribbles. The opponent received a yellow card. But Quaresma seemed to have suffered a minor injury. As a precaution, Trigueros substituted Quaresma with former Benfica legend João Pinto. Sporting Lisbon's attack on the right flank suddenly stalled. It wasn't that João Pinto was weak, after all, he was one of the representatives of Portugal's golden generation. The main issue is that his style differed from Quaresma's. He couldn't dribble and break through with the same fluidity. Sporting Lisbon looked for opportunities more on the left flank. In the 62nd minute, Trigueros made a decisive substitution, replacing Viana, who had also been fouled several times, with Pepe. Then Pepe and Metholis switched positions, moving Metholis forward. In the 65th minute, Pinto dropped back to act as a wall. Duncan dribbled past his opponent and chipped the ball to Drogba. Drogba held off the opposing centre-back, using his physical advantage to control the ball, and finally headed it into the penalty area. Viana had moved wide, freeing up Ronaldo's position, and Ronaldo suddenly surged forward near the penalty area. Gaziantep's player, unable to bear seeing his team concede another goal, reached out and pulled Ronaldo down. But he forgot, this was inside the penalty area. Whistle. Yellow and penalty. Ronaldo looked at the ball, reluctant to let it go. A penalty was practically a goal for him. He couldn't bear to give it up. But the damn Metholis hadn't been substituted today. Metholis, clutching the ball, excitedly went to the penalty spot. He then scored, making it 4-0. He also scored twice, absolutely thrilled. In the 73rd minute, as Metholis moved forward, he undeniably drew the attention of Gaziantep's defense. That's the allure of the Ballon d'Or winner. Duncan was freed up, frequently moving to the right, allowing Pinto to play more inside, in a more familiar area. Seeing Drogba's strong desire for the ball, Deng Kai delivered a cross. Drogba was too obvious the target and couldn't get a header. After the opponent cleared the ball, Deschamps controlled possession on the outside. He passed the ball to Pinto on the right side of the penalty area. Pinto passed the ball to the wing and turned to make a run forward. This indicated he was preparing to receive the ball near the byline. In the first half, Deng Kai had combined with his teammates here to receive the ball and then executed a skillful dribble past his opponent on the byline, ultimately providing an assist. Pinto's run drew away the defender. At the same time, Deng Kai on the wing took a 1-0 cross without stopping the ball. The speed was extremely fast. It wasn't that Deng Kai didn't pass to Pinto because he saw no opportunity, rather, he never even considered passing to Pinto. This showed he was a step ahead in terms of thinking. Bang! It was a fast and powerful pass. Before Drogba could even take off in the penalty area, the ball grazed the back of his head. The ball didn't land on him, it landed behind him. In an instant, Drogba seemed to awaken observation haki, feeling a chill run down his spine. He landed and immediately ducked, covering his head. Bang! A missile whizzed past where he stood. If he hadn't ducked, his head would have exploded. Goal. Unbelievable. A hat-trick. Matos, bursting into the penalty area, volleyed straight into the net. Incredible. 20 years of shooting skill, no one can stop that shot. Who would have thought that Deng Kai's second cross wouldn't have found a high point, but rather Matos, who was a step too slow rushing in from outside. Drogba reacted incredibly quickly. If he hadn't ducked, he probably would have blocked the shot. Looks like Drogba and Matos have great understanding. Drogba? You call running away with your head down a sign of good understanding? End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.